Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Super Tuesday. It is likely going to be an incredible night. I predict it is going to be a surprising night in that I believe because of the shakeup of this race in the last 48 hours, not yet reflected in the polls, I believe we are going to have final results today that differ not insignificantly from the latest polling data, which we will, of course, be reviewing. Let's start today by welcoming all of you watching live on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. We have some results, which I will get to momentarily. And this has been the last 96, and in particular, the last 48 hours, have been arguably some of the most in the same way that the stock market lost 10% last week in the shortest period in history. I believe that this may be the 48-hour period during which a Democratic primary has shifted to the greatest degree, at least that I can remember. And it's not good for Bernie Sanders, and it's very good for Joe Biden. That is the reality. I tell you things as they are, not as you or I might wish them to be. And this is going to be quite an evening. Let's start with the results that we have so far, where you will see that Vermont has already been called for Bernie Sanders. We have seen Virginia called for Joseph R. Biden Jr. We have seen North Carolina called for Joseph R. Biden Jr. And American Samoa, which is not here, American Samoa, where was that? Okay, well, it's not even on here. American Samoa was called for Michael Bloomberg, and I don't know how concerned you fine folks are with that. The updated delegate counts as of right now, let's get a quick refresh and make sure we have the latest numbers. We have 116 for Joseph Biden, 80 for Bernard Sanders, Pete Buttigieg out, still with his 26, Elizabeth Warren 8, Amy Klobuchar 7. And according to one thing I saw, Tulsi did get one delegate. She got a delegate in, yeah, it still shows 0 here, but I believe Tulsi got a delegate in American Samoa, and that may well be her first, last, final, and only delegate in this entire thing. And even that may be wrong. Let's review some of the data coming in. As many of you know, South Carolina, which was a very big win for Joe Biden, resulted in a reversal, a very significant reversal in the national polls. You see here what had grown to be a 12.2 point lead for Bernie Sanders, reversed to what, as of today, is almost a statistical tie. But again, I believe that these polls do not accurately reflect the momentum behind Joe Biden. Don't attack the messenger. I just believe this is the reality. I believe Joe Biden is going to overperform these numbers. And ultimately, tonight is going to be determined not by who wins which state. It is really going to come down to the margins of victory in key states. As I tweeted recently, and you should be following me on Twitter and retweeting the nonsense that I tweet. Okay. I believe this is going to ultimately be determined by the margin in California, Texas, or Texas, as Michael Bloomberg corrected a reporter today in cringeworthy fashion, and to some degree, North Carolina as well. And on that note, let's take a quick look. The latest California polls, we have one poll from 2 days ago that had Bernie plus 17. And then we had a poll that was released yesterday or today that has Bernie at only plus 7. I believe Bernie Sanders will not win California by 7. It doesn't, it pains me to say this. It is only 4:53 p.m. on the West Coast. It is still possible to go and vote in California. And if you do not like what I am telling you, you can go out and vote if you haven't yet. But I believe that Bernie doesn't win California by 7. That's my my prediction. I think it is closer than that. And of course, with California worth 416 delegates, if it is roughly even, I mean, even if Bernie wins by 7, it may not be enough to stave off a Joe Biden delegate lead by the end of the night, depending what happens in other places. Let's look at Texas now, Texas, known to you. The latest poll, 2 latest polls in Texas have Bernie plus 5 and Biden plus 2. Again, if you say we look at the average, which is Bernie 1.5 ahead, I think that Biden slightly overperforms that, and it ends up roughly even. Michael Bloomberg may be viable in Texas as well. That's 228 delegates, very important. And then, of course, North Carolina. Notice that the average in North Carolina was Biden plus 13.4 with a big boost recently. But if we look at the actual numbers, New York Times doesn't have numbers yet. CNN already had some North Carolina numbers. They were more than plus 14 for Joe Biden. So when you ask me and you say, David, I hate what you're telling me, but I want you to give me the facts, where do I get the idea that Biden will overperform in California and Texas? I get that impression because Biden was averaging plus 13 in polling in North Carolina, and the early data that CNN has had Biden at plus 30 in North Carolina. That likely won't hold to the end. But if it's anywhere close to that, it is going to be a big, big night for Joseph R. Biden Jr. I am watching all chats. If you want to get a message to me and you're watching on YouTube, these streams are interactive. Send a super chat. Your message will show up in the lower left of the screen. See how it's blank right now? That's embarrassing. And the reason that it looks that way is because nobody has yet sent a super chat. It says no new super chats or members yet. So you can get your message on the screen by sending a super chat on YouTube. On Twitch, you can get your message in the upper right box by subscribing with either Twitch Prime or directly. A few people who have done that while we've been chatting. Shaners has gifted 5 subscriptions. Thank you. Dino Sorkel has subscribed for 8 months in a row. Artistic Simplicity has subscribed for 4 months in a row. Neptune99 has subscribed. Sis Lore has subscribed. And Applejacks4 has subscribed. We do also have our first super chat from a viewer named I Hate Juice, who doesn't have any comment. I guess their message is what is implicit in their super chat. It is going to be a night where we will likely know in 3 minutes, in fact, we are about to get more results. And so we'll keep it over here until that time, because there may be more races called at the top of the hour. North Carolina results starting to come in. And actually, so this is much closer than the data I saw over on CNN. So that is interesting. We will see what results we get at the top of the hour. We have my home state of Massachusetts closing at the top of the hour. We have what else closes at 8 p.m.? Maine closes at 8. And there's some other states that close at 8. We will see momentarily. North Carolina, presumably. North Carolina closed at 7:30. Maybe Tennessee. What's on the East Coast? Vermont, we already have. We'll see. We'll see at the top of the hour. But we are indeed expecting some calls there. We do have an outrage. I mean, it's my staff almost didn't allow me to do this, but our target today is 100 new members at joinpacman.com. My staff told me, David, you are going to be embarrassed tonight. You are going to embarrass yourself tonight. You're not going to get anywhere close to 100 new members at joinpacman.com. And I said to them, I believe we will get close. I believe it is going to be a long and a productive night of evaluating where this primary is going. And I invite you to support the stream. And there will be another one week from tonight as we have more primaries on March 10th. Joinpacman.com. There's a coupon code 2020 now, and it instantly saves you 66%. What's better than getting a discount, right? I can think of a few things, but not that many. So consider doing that. You will literally start filling up this blue bar as people do that, and I will sing your praises and say your name. As we're waiting for a few states to close at the top of the hour, let me say thank you to Joseph Shellabarger for the super chat. Name withheld says, thanks for covering, David. Joseph Sedegati says, who do you think will exit the race after tonight? I don't know. Warren and Bloomberg are the question marks, but we just won't know until the results come in. Bombass Dankass says, is the DNC conspiring to steal it from Bernie? Well, conspiring, yes. The answer is yes. They're working together with the establishment candidates. Cody Steckman says these results are depressing. Waller is me says, here you go, David, out here in California, voted Bernie, still hopeful, but I agree with your take on Biden. Ryan Olding, hey, David, why you think Tulsi is staying in the race? I have no idea. I mean, she did get a delegate tonight, maybe. So I guess that's why. Incredibo TV says, I proudly voted for Bernie by mail in California. Feel the burn, baby. Shh, just let it happen. Fingers crossed Pac-Man will be his VP pick. Lego. Okay. Name withheld says, vote Biden for senator, the other Biden for VP, and Bernie for president. It is 8 p.m. and we are expecting results to start coming in almost literally any second. Do we have, let me see, is this, okay, trying to make sure we have all of the latest data coming up here. And we should soon be starting to get some other results. Let's check our New York Times election tracker here and see if anything else has started to come in. It is only 8 p.m. on the dot. And the New York Times tracker, very, very slow with their data, so to speak. It may be interesting to you to see that as of this morning, the odds had shifted in the 538 election tracker. No one reaching 50% plus one delegates now, 61% odds. Biden, 31% odds. Bernie, 8. Nobody else even at 0.1%. A pretty radical change from 96 hours ago. Let's see what we've got.
Polls are closing in Alabama, Maine, Massachusetts, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. We should get more results pretty soon on quite a few of those states. Now let's take a moment to recap some of the biggest headlines so far of the night. The Washington Post projecting Joe Biden to win Virginia and the other states we mentioned, Bernie Sanders to win Vermont. Meanwhile, in Tennessee, voting was extended due to tornado damage in the area. And for the very latest on where things stand on this Super Tuesday, let's send it back to the Post. Jeremy Bowers with the Election Insights team. So, Jeremy, a good night so far for Joe Biden, and you've been digging more closely into the numbers. So what are you seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Joe Biden has been doing surprisingly well, and in places where we expected him to do well. But the things that are happening in those places where we expected him to do well is that he's building really big leads, leads that we certainly weren't expecting based on things like recent polls. We're seeing today's early exit poll numbers showing just overwhelming amounts of support for Biden in places like Virginia and in places like Alabama and in North Carolina, where we were able to call those races so early. And one of the reasons why
all right, so it looks like they don't actually have too much to add right now. I'm seeing messages from people saying, David, we're trying to sign up for memberships and your website has gone down. This tends to happen at the beginning of streams. We are on a cloud-based server which adjusts based on demand. And it seems as though when we start a stream, the demand increases so quickly that the website often goes down, which is a great problem to have, believe me. But we have reset the website, and for folks looking to sign up, you should be able to very, very soon. And in fact, we do have our first member. Let me say thank you to Daniel Reese, who is new member number 1 of the evening. There it is. Thanks so much, Daniel. I appreciate it. Let's see what's on people's minds as we await results coming in. We still have just Virginia called for Joe Biden, currently plus 30 there. Oh, it was Virginia that was plus 30, not North Carolina. I apologize. Alabama has been called for Joe Biden already. And North Carolina has been called for Joe Biden already. Here in Massachusetts, we're currently waiting for results, as well as in a number of other states. Cameron Titus says, is Warren considered a strong contender still? No. Gary Williams says, rooting for Bernie from the UK. Daphne Moon says, David, I'm sad. Let's wait for the results to come in. We've got to take it one state at a time. Oh boy. A lot of super chats coming in. John S. says, Biden win Dem, Warren being asked by Biden for VP. I'm hearing that Kamala is being considered for VP potentially, and that would be quite interesting. Julius Kopzuski says, what can Sanders do to increase his chances besides somehow getting Warren to drop out as early as possible? I actually question whether Warren dropping out would help Bernie as much as some think, because what I've been seeing anecdotally is a lot of Warren people are saying if she were out, I would vote for Bernie, but a lot are saying if she were out, I would vote for Biden. It's not clear to me that Warren bailing is that great for Bernie. Andy B says, I want David's hair. Thank you. Also, Rand says, please explain like I'm 5 delegates for your UK viewers. Well, each state has a certain number of delegates that is apportioned to it. So, for example, North Carolina has 110 delegates, as you can see here. California, a state with larger population, has 416 delegates. So as the candidates win races, they get delegates, which are sort of like points. Each state is worth a certain number of points. You need 1,991 delegates to win the nomination. Joe Biden right now has about 8% of that number. Bernie Sanders has about 6% of that number. It's sort of like the Electoral College, where the popular vote in each state gives you electors in the presidential election. The popular vote in each state gives you delegates in the Democratic presidential primary. The Democratic primaries are not winner take all, meaning if you get 40% of the vote in a state, you get 40% of the viable threshold delegates, because there is a viability threshold. Don't need to worry about that. Republican primaries are winner take all. They're all or almost all winner take all. Let me say a huge thank you and welcome to Joshua Jelinas, who is new member number 2 of the evening. We have a long night ahead of us, and the best way you can support the stream, it's easy, it's fast, it feels good, man. You go to joinpacman.com. You just sign up for a membership. The normal prices, I think, are very reasonable. I don't begrudge anybody wanting to save 66%. And if you're in that boat, apply that coupon code above my head, 2020 now, and you will thus save 66%. And I will thank you. And the blue bar, which is now just a trickle, look, it's this tiniest bright blue bar, it will start to creep along towards 100 new members tonight. Let me address some of the things happening over on Twitch. I want to say thank you to Sizzlor for subscribing with Prime. Oh, no, I already thanked Sizzlor. Angry Vag 3000 has subscribed for 1 month. Salty Doggis has subscribed with Prime. And Franglish has subscribed with Prime. Thank you very much. Riley Potter says, couldn't wait for you to go live. Appreciate you for keeping us updated. Also, I wish you'd do more videos or conversations with Kyle Kulinski. Would be glad to. Paula Barrows says, Biden won't beat Trump. Hi from Amherst, Massachusetts, David. Oh, our old stomping grounds. Hey, Paula. Name Withheld says, don't be sad, Daphne Moon. Window Zombie says, Biden won't beat Trump in the general. Rest in peace, America. J.I. Vargas says, I think it needs to get a lot worse before it gets better. Trump is going to win 2020. Rory Drew says, greetings from Oxford, UK. Greetings. I was just there 6 weeks ago. Bernie's brother Larry cast his vote for Bernard today. Felt very special. Shaners says, saw a cool Vox video on why primaries are staggered. Not totally convinced we shouldn't just do it on a single day, though. Results shift opinions. Listen, if it was done on a single day, this could be a different race. I mean, half of the momentum Biden has is because of winning South Carolina. The other half is 2 candidates dropped out and endorsed him, and that certainly is a big, big factor. Let's see if we have any other new data coming in. Over on the New York Times tracker, we now have data arriving from North Carolina, which is actually tighter so far than the polls. The initial results have Biden +7. Biden +7. You will notice that in North Carolina, Biden was polling +13. So Biden +7 is of an underperformance by Biden there. In Virginia, Biden was polling +17. The actual results so far are Biden +31. So Biden overperforming in Virginia. And then Vermont, no question whatsoever, it was always going to Bernie Sanders, his sort of adoptive home state. I know you know that he doesn't have a Vermont accent. He has a Brooklyn accent, but has lived in Vermont for a long time. And Bernie +30 there. Vermont worth I believe it is 16 delegates going from memory. Let's see here. I do want to welcome a couple of other people who have signed up. Let's see here. Alexander King is new member number 3. Excuse me. Having a Fox News moment here. New member number 3 is Alexander King. Johan Bienvenu is new member number 4 tonight. Joshua Henry is new member number 5. Michael Malone is new member number 6 tonight. And Arnie Dahl is new member number 7 tonight. Thank you very much. We do have a very aggressive target of 100 new members tonight. I don't know. We're going to be here for hours, so I thought, what the hell, we'll go for it. Let's see here. Any other projections so far? No. We are waiting for results in Tennessee. We are waiting for results, of course, in Texas, which does not, it could be a full hour before we have more results there. Over on a PBS News Hour, they also have live results coming in, and we'll see what is happening there. Let me say thank you to a few people over on Twitch. $3 has subscribed with Prime. Local 11 has subscribed with Prime. And Zin1221 has also subscribed with Prime. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Questions continuing to come in via Super Chat. Xian says, will Tulsi's one delegate qualify her for the next debate? I don't think so. Jimmy Myers says, it's my birthday tomorrow. Anyhow, are there going to be a lot of uninformed people who waste their vote on candidates who dropped out? Thank you. Yes, there will. Mythos Mint says, should Warren drop out so Bernie can consolidate the progressive vote? As I said earlier, it's not obvious to me that that's what would happen. It's depressing to say it, but it's not obvious that that would happen. Okay, let's see. People are telling me the Politico Super Tuesday dashboard is better. Let me find that for you guys. We want the best dashboard. Let's see here. Super Tuesday Politico. Okay, here we go. Let's see what we've got. So they've got a delegate tracker, popular votes by state. Oh, this is nice. I like this. Okay, so we have such early numbers starting to come in. So everything that's been called is above the line. Beautiful. I love it. Good suggestion here. We have Virginia, Alabama, and North Carolina called for Joseph R. Biden Jr. Vermont has been called for Bernard Sanders. Let's see if there's anything interesting on the screen so far. In Virginia, Biden is right now plus 31. Thank you for the suggestion. This is a great dashboard. Plus 31 in Virginia is an overperformance for Biden versus the polls. Alabama, plus 30 in Alabama. I don't think there was much polling in Alabama. So let's see if we have anything from Alabama to compare to. Alabama Democratic primary. Oh, we do. So Biden was plus 25 in Alabama. In actuality, so far, he's plus 30. It's an overperformance. Biden currently plus 13 in North Carolina. And you'll recall that Biden was plus 13 in the polls. So Biden right on target there. Vermont, a small prize and always in play for Bernie Sanders. We knew that. Okay, Massachusetts, with almost nothing reporting yet. This is where I vote. Massachusetts has Biden out to an early lead. This was a toss-up from the beginning. And the reason why, let me find it, Massachusetts Democratic primary. The reason this was a toss-up is that it is Elizabeth Warren's home state. And in the absolute latest poll, the only one that included this month, Warren was plus 2. Prior to that, it had mostly been Bernie. But then, of course, when you look at where Buttigieg had been, 14-15, and you look at Amy Klobuchar, 5-9, that's anywhere from 17 to 24 points that will be reallocated. And with late voters going based on exit polls to Biden, it's anyone's guess what's going to happen in Massachusetts. But now with 0.2% reporting, very early, it is plus 7 or so for Joe Biden there. Oklahoma, very, very tight. Tennessee, looking good early, sort of for Michael Bloomberg, although there is a big three-way race. And yes, it is possible that Elizabeth Warren here could do well in Massachusetts. My prediction is if Warren does not win Massachusetts, even if she grabs some delegates elsewhere, she will very likely end this race before the March 10th primaries, if not sooner. That's sort of my sense of the situation right now. Let's see what else is on people's minds here. Let me thank a few other people who are signing up on my website. New member number 8 tonight is Paula Barrows. Thank you, Paula. I really appreciate your support. New member number 9 tonight is David Hammer. The way the hammer is going to be dropped. By the way, let me just get this out of the way right now before we go any further. We've got moderators on both YouTube and on Twitch. On Facebook, we don't. If you're one of the 150 people watching on Facebook, you're probably able to go completely crazy right now with no repercussions. The moderators on Twitch and YouTube are deputized to stop hate speech, personal attacks, anti-Semitism, all of that stuff. The ban hammer is free to use. It's Super Tuesday, and they are deputized to use it. But to be clear, political disagreements are welcome in our chat rooms. Conservatism is welcome. Even libertarianism, as crazy as that sounds, is welcome. But it's got to be respectful. That's the way that we're running things here. Okay, a few other people that I want to thank. I don't want to get too far off track. Crystal Mackinson is new member number 10 tonight, and that gets us to 10% of our goal. Let me say thank you and welcome to Garrett Hampton, who is new member number 11 today. Daniel Schellenbarger is new member number 12. Stephanie Orban, or Orban, is new member number 13. And Alex Civic is new member number 14. Now, Alex, I think I recognize Alex Civic from a prior stream. I don't know if Alex Civic now, maybe we have 2 Alex Civics as members, or maybe Alex is getting a second membership. Who knows? Okay. Over on Twitch, I want to say thank you to Burger the Man for subscribing with Prime. BRD FRDSN for the subscription. Tan Man has subscribed, as has Sethicus and Gizaru, as well as Trooper Juan. A not so unique username has subscribed. Shrimp Scampy, welcome. Gazer Paglop. Zin. Oh, I already thanked Zin. Okay. For people on Twitch who may be interested, or on YouTube, Stephen Kenneth Destiny Bonnell II was here in town over the weekend. We went to brunch. He ordered both. Can you imagine? Listen to this. Kenneth ordered sausage and bacon with his brunch. You know how often you order, for people who eat pork, you have a choice of sausage or bacon. And sometimes there's even a vegetarian option. Kenneth said, I want bacon as my choice, plus a side of sausage. It was crazy. And then we took a picture after, and it's on my Instagram. So please make sure that you're following me on Instagram at david.pacman. A lot of people stunned that I am taller than Kenneth. And that, is probably a story for another day. Okay, as the numbers continue to roll in here in a number of states that are what we would consider in play, let me read some other super chats as they come in. If you have a question, comment, send it via super chat on YouTube, and it'll show up in the lower left of the screen. Sasquatch Hunter says, Buttigieg used to see Bernie as an idol. Yeah, if you look at the Buttigieg videos from 2018, it sounds like he's totally on board with Bernie. He got focus grouped into changing some of those positions. Zaylor Avon says, it saddens me to see fellow Burners attack you and Sam Cedar for pushing back on the more conspiratorial claims some on our side make. I appreciate that. Cody Rudd, watching Trump get elected. Convention equals Trump win. I guess you mean contested convention. Carl says the most similar swing to the Joe-mentum has to be Clinton in 92. Didn't win a single primary or caucus until Super Tuesday. You may have to go that far back, yeah. Sorry that this just scrolled up. When a bunch of super chats come in at once, it just starts scrolling. Bob225ish says, voting for Trump if Biden is the 2020 nominee. I don't give a fuck. I feel that the DNC has done more damage to our democracy. Conspiring against Bernie, it's insidious. Well, a vote for Trump will certainly be a vote for Trump. Paula Barrows says, go Bernie, go. Biden's momentum is depressing. Hi from Amherst, Massachusetts. Paul Benke says, why is Warren still in? Doesn't she want Bernie? It's not clear to me. It's not clear to me whatsoever. By the way, Paula, what's going on with the old Rayo's spot? I was in Amherst a couple weeks ago, and when I went to UMass, I would always go to the old Rayo's location on Kellogg. It then became Share Coffee. Share Coffee moved out, and now it looks closed. It says like cafe, but it's not been open any time that I've been there recently. It's very depressing. Tristan McCoppin says, if Biden is the nominee, might as well congratulate Trump on his 2020 win. Let me address that issue, okay? I have a tweet about this from a couple days ago where I said, I get a lot of people who contact me and say, David, my candidate is the only one that can beat Trump. I hear it from Tulsi fans and from Andrew Yang gangers. I hear it from people who say, if Bernie's the nominee, we definitely can't beat Trump. Others who say Bernie's the only guy who can beat Trump. If you want to just get my honest take on that, I don't think it's like that at all. I think that the top tier candidates, which in this case are Bernie and Biden, I think they either both could beat Trump or both could lose to Trump based on, is the primary process and convention process self-destructive? Is the perception of the economy good? The perception of the economy good? If it is, both will have trouble beating Trump. It is going to be very difficult in the key states to justify replacing the president when people feel the economy is good. This is not my opinion. This is history, okay? On the other hand, if the economy is poor, if the coronavirus reaction is looking disastrous, as it may, either of them could beat Donald Trump. I don't believe any of this. There is only one person that can beat Trump stuff. I just don't believe it. If you disagree with me, let me know via Super Chat. Okay, let's get an update on how things are going. Maybe every 50, actually, you know what? We'll reset at 8:30. We'll do a reset like every 15 minutes roughly. Let me thank a few other people. Over on Twitch, I want to say thank you to Sandaru4 for the subscription. On my website, I want to say thank you to, who do I want to say thank you to? Carol Gush. Carol, I am gushing with praise. Thank you. You are new member number 15. I want to say thanks to Cody Killingbeck, who is new member number 16, and Rasmus Sorensen is new member number 17 tonight. If you're just joining us and don't know what the hell I'm talking about, we have, it's sort of a friendly wager, I guess, going, where I believe we can get 100 new members during tonight's stream at joinpacman.com. And a lot of people don't believe that, including some in my own staff, as depressing as that is. So you can grab a membership at joinpacman.com. The memberships do support all of this extra stuff we do, like the live streams, as the results continue to come in. Other super chats here. Let's see here. Druzaya says, Kunas here, Louisiana. Okay. Elizabeth Warren has become more sickening to me than basically any other candidate. My question is, how do the delegates get split up if and when Warren drops out? Delegates are not automatically released. They basically stay with the candidate, and then at the convention, things can be done, is more or less the answer. Davide Ventrone says, when are you coming back to Montreal? Love the show. Maybe in the spring. I tend to go to Montreal around Memorial Day. Although COVID-19 may change that. Matt Stone says, do you get anxious about the results or do you keep a level head? You seem to have a healthy emotional detachment when Bernie goes down or up in the results. Listen, all I can do is do my show, tell people what I think, vote, and, be here with you guys. We're all in the same situation interpreting the results. And I try to limit my worry to the things I can control. And what I can control right now is this stream, basically. AC0510 says, what does Biden overperforming today mean for the rest of the race? It means it's good for Biden, essentially. And we're going to look at some of those numbers soon. Miko Bambino says, it's almost like Democrats are trying to throw the election. Biden doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell against Trump. Again, I think if the economy's bad, Bernie and Biden are both likely to beat Trump. I think if the economy's good, both are likely to lose. That's the way I see it. And a lot of people are very angry with me for that. Name withheld says, do not underestimate Corona Chan. We may not make it to November. Angel Hernandez, should Bernie drop out if he doesn't win? If he doesn't win what? I mean, it's going to be close tonight. If we get an updated delegate count right now, you can get this just by typing into Google 2020 Democratic primary delegate count. We have Joe Biden with 157 and Bernie at 91. Bloomberg has picked up his first delegates. He now has 6 delegates. Tulsi has a delegate. I have to apologize. Okay. I said last week, Tulsi doesn't have a path to a single delegate. That was wrong. She had a path to a single delegate. And for that, I apologize to you guys. Elizabeth Warren, no delegates as of yet in what we have seen so far. Okay, as the results continue to come in, we are keeping an eye on them, and we are going to do a reset of the numbers momentarily here, keeping an eye on the PBS stream as well as the Washington Post stream so far. Whitney Siscom says, who do you think would win in a fist fight between Cenk and Alex Jones? Well, Alex Jones takes all those supplements, which he probably believes would be great for him in a fight. But, I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm worried a little bit about Cenk's health because he works so much that he may not be in his best shape right now. So I don't know. I think I would take 2013 Cenk over Alex Jones. I don't know how Cenk's doing now between TYT stuff and his campaign. It's tough. He's doing a lot of work, my friends. A lot of work. Let me say thank you to Jake Brooks. Jake Brooks is new member number 18 tonight at joinpacman.com. Website memberships, of course, are the best way to support these streams. It's cheap, it's easy, it's quick, and we have this outrageous coupon code, 2020 now, which will save you 66%. And everybody who signs up at joinpacman.com gets a thank you today. Other super chats coming in. Dennis Klomp says from Netherlands. Oh, wait, sorry, I skipped one. I apologize. Brian Arocho says, you think Warren is staying in only to deny Bernie the nomination? Doesn't seem like she would win the super delegates anyway. Why else would she stay? Could be because she's part of the goal of denying Bernie the nomination. It also could be because she wants some negotiating clout at some later point in this entire thing. Dennis Klomp says, from Netherlands, saw youth turnout, shame on you. Alex Sotelo, no, Waller is me, says 2016 again, Biden playing the part of Hillary and Bernie playing Bernie. Any studies on 2016 loss of young voters from primary to general election? If there are, I haven't seen those studies. Bijan Cronin says Bernie wins, getting Warren to drop and announce VP. Eric says, why don't Bernie call himself social democrat? I've argued that he should, and I've argued it for a while. We have numbers from Texas coming in. And on that note, we should do a full check-in on everything that has happened tonight. Let me refresh the Politico dashboard. If you want to follow along with me, that is where we are looking. What has happened so far? Alabama has been called for Joe Biden. Joe Biden very much overperforming the polling, currently plus 51 in Alabama. Virginia, Biden was polling plus 17, currently with 92% reporting plus 31. That is a signal. That is an important signal. Bloomberg, 18% in Alabama, 17.6 in North Carolina. He is picking up delegates here. North Carolina called for Joe Biden, although his margin of lead right now is much smaller than the polling. Biden was polling, what was it in North Carolina? Let me take a look here. Biden was polling plus 13 in North Carolina. And as you can see here, Biden only actually plus 6.7 in North Carolina. Vermont for Bernie, as expected, easily. We do have 1% of the vote in Massachusetts, and it is going to be a fight. With only 1% in, it does not look like Elizabeth Warren will win her home state, although that 1% could be from weak Warren areas. It is right now much too early to call, but a fight between Joe Biden in the first column and Bernie Sanders in the second. Tennessee, we have 1% reporting, and it is a three-way fight between Biden, Bernie, and Michael Bloomberg. Oklahoma, with 2% in, is also a three-way fight. although 5 points, almost 6 now separate Biden from Bloomberg. And in Maine, Bernie Sanders is yellow. Does yellow mean Bernie? Oh, Bernie's leading, but it has not yet been called, right? Bernie leading slightly in Maine. And then I was told it looked like we started getting some Texas information in. Polls don't close until 10. Let's see if we have, there we go. We do have some early data from some other states. Let me just refresh Politico to see if they're giving us any of that data. They are not. So we'll check that out over on the New York Times. In Texas, we have early results, and Bernie Sanders is plus 13 there with a small percentage counted. In Oklahoma, under 1% reporting, almost irrelevant, but Biden and Bloomberg are in a fight with Bernie a little bit further behind. And then in Alabama, we already talked about Alabama. Okay, Texas is a very interesting one. And again, these are just initial results. They mean very, very little. But that is going to be an interesting one to watch. California is the biggest prize, followed by Texas, followed, I believe, by North Carolina. And then is it Massachusetts that has 99? I'm going from memory here, but we're going to continue tracking all of these results for you. And nothing else called so far. Very good. Michael Bloomberg saying something. Let's take a listen. Black is the one word I heard.
All across America, I've been talking with voters, and my message is simple. I am running to beat Donald Trump.
Bloomberg, Mini.
And to start rebuilding our country and to start getting things done. And I mean big, important things like stopping gun violence and fighting climate change and finally achieving affordable health coverage for all Americans.
Gonna refill water while Minnie speaks.
This is a campaign for change, a campaign for sanity, for honesty, a campaign for inclusion, compassion, competence, and a campaign for human decency. And this is a campaign to bring our country back together and put the United back in the United States of America. That's the message I've been delivering not only to Democrats, but also to swing voters who will actually decide who will be our next president. And tonight, we proved something very important. We proved we can win the voters who will decide the general election. And isn't that what this is all about? Now, while my fellow candidates spent a whole year focusing on the first 4 states, I was out campaigning against Donald Trump in the states where the election will actually be decided, like Wisconsin and Michigan and Pittsburgh and Ohio and North Carolina and, of course, Florida. President Obama proved that a Democrat can win all of those states, but in 2016, we lost them all. Well, I'm running to win them back. And together, we're going to get it done. Now, we all know Trump's strategy: attack Democrats, make their plans look unrealistic, unaffordable, and undoable. That won't work against us. Our plans are sensible, workable, and achievable. And we have the record and the resources to defeat Trump in swing states the Democrats lost in 2016, like Florida. I know we can do it, and you know who else knows it? Donald Trump. And that's why he keeps attacking us on Twitter. Today, he sent a tweet out urging people not to vote for us. Gee, I wonder why. Clearly, Trump is scared stiff of facing us, and for good reason. In every campaign I ran for mayor, we built a broad coalition that brought Democrats and independents and moderate Republicans together. Donald Trump the other day called me short. I said, Donald, where I come from, we measure people from the neck up. how we're going to beat Donald Trump. I believe we need a leader who is ready to be commander-in-chief, not college debater-in-chief. So if you want someone who talks turkey and who has a record of accomplishment on all the big issues facing our country and who has the resources to beat Trump, I'm your guy.
All right. Well, we'll see if he pulls any significant number of delegates tonight. We'll keep it on Mike Bloomberg while I continue to tell you about other things that are going on. Let me say a few Twitch thank yous to Microactive, Parta Cool Wave, and Element 10. Thank you, all of you, for your support. Over on YouTube via Super Chat, get your Super Chats in and I will address them. Anna Burgos says, David, why aren't Republicans running against Trump? I mean, a couple tried and it didn't really go well. Bob Simon says, moderator blocked Bob Robertson in error. It's my real YouTube account. I had to make this account to send Super Chat. I'm a big fan, David. Please help. Okay, please unblock Bob Robertson, moderators. Thank you. McKenna Rhodes, when are you going back on Joe Rogan's podcast? That's a very good question. And I am not yet saying. Let me put it that way. Nick DiPasquale says, I'm a New Yorker living abroad in the EU. My parents watch Fox News and believe the coronavirus is a hoax. How do we address the global pandemic together? That's a pretty big matzo ball, the people who straight up believe it's a hoax. And I don't have the answer today, but we will certainly continue discussing that this week. Casey Bates says, how soon will we get a Biden-Sanders debate? That would be an interesting one. Mig Pro says, I'd like to thank Pacman and Kyle Kulinski for the great coverage, but it's time to gear for Sanders not winning the nomination or even a plurality. Alyssa Helgeson has grabbed a YouTube subscription. Oh, that thing happened where they scroll down because of all the super chats that come in. Zachary Searwright says, do you think a Bernie nomination would affect the down ballot any differently than a Biden nomination? I'm sure, although slicing and dicing exactly how is difficult to do. Julius Kashepsky says, what can Bernie do to increase his chances? Get more votes. I mean, listen, it's pretty late in the game now, and momentum breeds momentum, and he's got to get some. So let's look at Texas. If Texas, do we have anything else in Texas yet? So with 5% reporting, Joe has gone ahead in Texas, but just marginally. Bernie's got to do something in Texas. Remember that the polling going in Texas was Sanders +5, but then Biden +2 more recently. Bernie on average winning by 1.5. He needs margin. He needs margin in the big states, in Texas, and we don't yet have anything in California. And he needs to start grabbing delegates somewhere. And it's easier said than done for sure. Clint Sparks says, thanks for what you do, David. Ben Catt says, Bernie and Warren are significantly different. I'm voting Warren because I like her better, although I'd ultimately prefer Bernie over Biden. What are your thoughts? These are the exact calculations that people are making all the time. It seems like you have it pretty clear. Makeshift Altruist says, what do people genuinely like or think Biden will do to help people, or do they see him actually beating Trump? Depends who you ask. In South Carolina, I believe they see him as doing good things. I think that there are people who, in the last 48 hours, with the exits of Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar, believe that it's Biden who can beat Trump and not Bernie. And they again, as I've said, I think either or neither could beat Trump, depending on the state of the economy, the coronavirus response, and the perception of responsibility. Let's take a look at some of the updates here that are coming in.
Poll results. We can also project that Joe Biden will win Alabama with 52 delegates at stake. That's another call based on exit poll results. Earlier tonight, we projected Joe Biden winning Virginia with 99 delegates at stake. Bernie Sanders is doing well in his home state of Vermont tonight, where he is projected to win, and Vermont has 16 delegates at stake. Well, at this hour, polls in Arkansas are closed. That state has 31 pledged delegates up for grabs, and polls in Colorado and Minnesota will close in under a half hour. Let's check in now with our election insights team led by the Post.
Very good. So the results continue to come in, and we are continuing to follow them. Let me get caught up on thanking people. I don't want to fall behind here. let me say a huge thank you to Brian Bulnes. The reason I say it that way is Bulnes is a street in my home city of Buenos Aires in Argentina. Brian, I don't know how you pronounce your name, but I like it. Stephanie Ramos is new member number 20 tonight. Tiffany Sykes is new member number 21 tonight. I also want to say thank you to Martin Harisco, who is new member number 22 this evening. Stefan Luddy, or Lud, is new member number 23 tonight. Sean Chair is new member number 24 tonight. I want to say thanks to Hannah Gibbs, new member number 25, as well as Robin Robison, or Robinson misspelled, but I'm going to assume you spelled it correctly, Robin. Robin Robison is new member number 26. Thank you so much. We do have a goal tonight of 100 new members. The coupon code is there. It's 2020 now, and it saves you 66% off of the membership of your choice. Super chats continue to come in, and I welcome them. Any questions or comments for me, please do send them in. Also want to say thanks to Dre33 for cheering 1,000 bits on Twitch with the message, "Love you, Deepak." Thank you. I appreciate the support. Also, thanks to Stone500 for the sub. I miss Doc, so I watch you for the sub. Element 10 has subscribed as well. I think I might have thanked Element 10 already. Shaner says you previously hinted at a possible upcoming tour. Any new details? Maybe a book release, maybe a Phoenix stop. I have upcoming possibilities about a tour, but no details yet. No book release. Phoenix stop is on the table. Timothy S. says your volume is a little low, soft, and what has been the most surprising Super Tuesday data to be released so far? Okay, let me up my volume a little bit. Let me know if that's any better. Most surprising Super Tuesday data so far, it's some of these margins, quite frankly. So Biden winning, by nearly 50 in Alabama, by 31 in Virginia. That is surprising. The North Carolina numbers, he's actually underperforming. And otherwise, those are really the only surprising numbers so far. In Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren has now taken a lead, barely beating Bernie Sanders, with Joe Biden down to 25%. That's a shift. I think Massachusetts is so different. In Massachusetts, this is a state I'm familiar with. Massachusetts, you've got the Berkshires, okay? They vote one way. I would guess the Berkshires are more either Biden or Warren than Bernie. You've got the 413, well, no, it's actually all 413 area code. You've got the Pioneer Valley area, places like Northampton and Amherst, which are very, very liberal and probably are more Bernie places, would be my guess. You've got the central Massachusetts area, including Worcester and Fitchburg and places like that, which are more working class and a little more conservative. You then have the Boston area. You've got the north suburbs, the south suburbs, and Metro West. Cape Cod, my guess is Cape Cod, they're big kind of like Kennedy Democrats, maybe would be more like Biden folks. You then have going south towards Rhode Island, which is different. The different parts of Massachusetts are so different that we could see the Massachusetts numbers really fluctuate throughout the evening, and we'll see ultimately what comes of them. All right, let's go. Oh, it's our friend. Is this Dave Weigel? I believe this is my buddy Dave Weigel.
The party, they're voting for somebody else right now. So watching that, in terms of the delegate count, watching Warren hit it in some affluent areas, but nowhere else, having trouble in Massachusetts. It's really that race at the top. I think the Sanders people were so focused on California, so I think unwilling to believe that Biden could put together Hillary-style numbers of black voters, that they might fall into literally the same trap they did in 2016, except worse, because a lot of people who hated Hillary Clinton do not hate Joe Biden.
All right, I am getting word that Texas has now reported 20%. 20%. I still see 9 here from the New York Times. Let's see if we have updated numbers. Still seeing 9, but I'm told Bernie is ahead when it's 20. Oklahoma, we have Biden ahead with 2%. Arkansas, we have Biden ahead with under 1%. Tennessee has Bernie now ahead in what is effectively a 3-way race. Very interesting. We're following the Massachusetts numbers. We are following the Maine numbers as well, and a bit of a different cadence between the New York Times numbers, as you can see here, and the Politico numbers different. But as you can see right now in the states that are in play, there are, have things been moved around? Okay, so there are 4 different leaders right now. You have Biden leading Arkansas and Oklahoma, Bernie leading Maine, Bloomberg leading Tennessee, and Warren now leading her home state of Massachusetts, but just barely, with only 3.6% reporting at this particular point in time. PBS seems to be talking to people somewhere where it is still daylight out. And the Washington Post coverage with our buddy Dave. I hope that is Dave Weigel. If it's not, it's so hugely embarrassing. Hello to everybody who is just joining me. We have been here since the results started coming in. Welcome if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Twitch. I have just some humble demands for you. Very, very humble demands. I want to, first of all, say thank you and welcome to everybody who is subscribed via Twitch Prime. Follow my channel on Twitch if you can. I would really appreciate that. If you're watching on YouTube, please give my stream a like. We saw last stream. The more likes we get, the more YouTube recommends our stream, and thus the more viewers we get. So please hit that like button. There's 5,000 people watching and only 700 likes. And also, please do hit that subscribe button. That really does help us. And these streams have been a great source of growing our channel. And if you just came across us by chance, I really would, I humbly ask for you to hit that subscribe button. If even 1 out of 5 of you are not current subscribers, that still could be 1,000 new subscribers for us instantly. And I really do appreciate everybody's support. Let's listen to a little bit more of Dave Weigel's analysis here and see what else is going on. We are expecting more results in just 14 minutes.
And that is a state. It's honestly the reason it was attractive to Bloomberg folks is that this is the first time it's had a competitive primary without a Clinton running. Hillary Clinton just won it outright easily in 2008 and 2016. There was no favorite this time, and Sanders seems to be doing very, very early. There's not much exit poll. There's no exit polling really. But I detected there that there wasn't any groundswell for Sanders. I point out in my story that Bloomberg had an office in downtown Little Rock, 2 stories tall, tons of merchandise. Sanders was working out of a community center a couple blocks away with a door that didn't work the day I was there. I mean, not that I was being locked out. They were trying to let me in and the door wouldn't work. So he did not have as extensive organization he had in other states. And what you're seeing tonight with Biden's strength in some very dramatic ways. There are states like Alabama where he did not visit, or he visited some over the weekend, I should say. Or like Oklahoma, he did not visit, he did not have a campaign office, did not have a history of winning there. And just all these Democratic voters we're talking about came out and said, I heard that he's the one who can win. I know him from the Obama years. Fine, I'm going to vote for him.
Interestingly, it does look, at least according to these numbers, that Biden's lead in North Carolina is expanding a bit. That was a place where Biden was underperforming the polling, but it does seem to be expanding at this point in time, which is interesting. But we're going to have to take the results sort of in total. No one state will tell us everything we need to know. Let me say thank you and welcome to Angela Cruz, who is new member number 27 today. I want to say thanks to Christine Ellis, who is new member number 28 at joinpacman.com. Kaylin Brooks is new member number 29 tonight. And Alex Varney is new member number 30 tonight. Consider yourself invited to grab a membership at joinpacman.com. We are targeting 100 new members tonight. Membership is cheap. It's quick. It directly supports these very long streams. We will be doing another one week from tonight as there are more primaries upcoming. And I'll say something great about you and thank you live on air. What's better than that? Let's see a few other questions as they are coming in via Super Chat here. Shisa Lion Dog says, shout out from Tallahassee, Florida, voted for Bernie by mail, asking everyone to send Super Chat and shout out where you are from and how you voted. All right, there you go. Send a Super Chat. Tell me where you're from and how you voted. Zaylor Avon says, are there times where people can play you at chess? Yes, I do play against viewers in chess sometimes. Not on Super Tuesday, but during the more casual streams, I will play chess against people. South Texas Rover says, whoa, can't believe Pacman remembered my name. Alex Civic now has 2 memberships, 1 year and 1 monthly. Yeah, I remembered, Alex, you signed up during another stream. Miguel says Bernie will win California. I believe he likely will. The question is the margin. If Bernie wins California by 5 points, I don't know that it gives him the margin he needs. If Bernie wins California by 15 or 20, now we're talking. Now we're talking. So it's going to come down to the margin there. D. Smitty, last stream someone mentioned this, is the boxing match between you and Ben Shapiro in April or May. Has not been scheduled, to my knowledge. Dinobot says, I'm Canadian and I'm getting depressed at the results so far. Donated to the NDP to make myself feel slightly better. Aaron D., how does this affect Bernie, these early numbers? Well, these are not great numbers for Bernie. For the most part, Biden's overperforming the polling. In states that he's winning by more than he was expected to, other than North Carolina. People asking for delegate math updates. Here are the delegates as of right now. Joe Biden at 162, Bernie Sanders at 96, Warren still at 8, Bloomberg at 6, and Tulsi 1. I am not mentioning Buttigieg and Klobuchar because they are out. These are the latest delegate numbers that we currently have. Jeff M. says, hey, you. Bob 225 says Texas closed 100 of polling sites in Black Latino areas, 542 closed compared to 34 in whiter areas. This is why I won't support the establishment. Mr. R.C. the Don says Bernie lead in Texas would win if no Warren. Shake my head. That's only if you assume all of Warren's support would have gone to Bernie. And I don't know that that's the case. Bernie now has taken the lead in Texas. Joe Biden sticking with him, but Bernie building a bit of a lead there. Michael Bloomberg appearing viable there. And Elizabeth Warren currently not appearing viable. In Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren has now taken the lead, followed by Biden and Bernie. And we are following numbers in Oklahoma, Arkansas, as well as Tennessee, and Maine, where Joe Biden has taken a lead in Maine. That's interesting. Widely expected to go to Bernie Sanders, but only 3% reporting. It's still May. It's still very, very much May. Let's get an update over on the Politico numbers and see where things are looking. Actually, we'll update the numbers just before the 9 o'clock stuff. Let's do that instead, because I do have a lot of other people looking to get in on the action here. Let me say thanks to B. Hassanson, who subscribed with Prime. Narchon subscribed at tier 2 on Twitch. Johnny Colors has subscribed with Prime. Thank you very much. Let me say thank you to, no other new members. Apologies. I thought I had somebody else to thank there. Coda has retracted a message. James Buccino says the corporate news and Dem candidates are coalescing to do everything they can to get anyone but Bernie, and it feels so smug and dishonest, and I'm pissed. Adam Zafirli, when super chats all come in at once, it starts scrolling. Adam Zafirli. Where was Adam Zafirli? Where was it? There it is. How much do you think Mike is paying the people in the audience right now? Yeah. Are all crowds around Bloomberg paid? James Montalbano says, do you think that your usage of Trump's nicknames for people like Bloomberg furthers to normalize the use of those nicknames in political discourse? Yes, and I shouldn't do it. I just find Minnie so funny because it's just such an insane thing for a president to be doing. But I shouldn't do it because it does normalize it, and I don't want to do that. Joey Gilfeather says, just tuned in. How's the night going? So far, pretty good for Biden. That's the news so far. Justine Dowenauer says, can we all agree Bloomberg is Mr. Burns? Incredibo TV. Wow, I sent in a super chat and you didn't read it. Just wow. How do you sleep at night? Don't answer that rhetorical question. Again, I read multiple super chats by Incredibo. I don't believe I skipped any. I don't know. Nikki No Knows says on Google, Bernie up 7%. Up where? I don't know. In which state? Paula Barrows, David, I'll check the Rayo spot on Kellogg Street and let you know on Twitter. Thank you. Yeah, I need some insight. Daddy Longlegs says, get Louis Motamedi back. Big boost for TDPS. He's money, baby. Michael Riscotti says, David, when you went to take a dump, Bloomberg called Pittsburgh a state. I want you to know and hope your bowels are okay. Holy shit. Sean O'Connell, what up, Pacman? JEV, 10% of North Carolina Republican voters selected other than Trump. That's interesting. Luis Torres is a new member. Julius Kopchevsky. What can Bernie do after Super Tuesday? I think I've pronounced Julius's last name 3 different ways. Well, but Bernie's going to need to just pick spots where he thinks he can grow a lead and focus in on them because Biden's likely to take the South. That's the reality. I don't know how Bernie takes the South after Super Tuesday, and that's going to be an issue. Joey Kane says Biden's rise never would have happened if the media responsibly covered his mental health issues. The media should responsibly cover Donald Trump's dementia as well. That's the reality. Interview on my channel from yesterday with Dr. Justin Frank about exactly that issue. Okay, let's update the latest numbers. And I know that every website, let's see, I'm getting a note here about some of the other websites. Okay, let's take a look at what we've got so far. We are awaiting some results just 4 minutes from now. Alabama, Virginia, and North Carolina have been called for Joseph R. Biden Jr. Vermont has been called for Bernard Sanders. No surprises there. The polls being overperformed by Biden in Alabama and Virginia, and just slightly underperformed in North Carolina. We now have a number of states that are in play that we are looking at. Maine, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, Joe Biden is winning. Oklahoma has 30% reporting, and Biden is plus 10. That may soon be called for Joe Biden. These others are very close. Maine is close between Biden and Bernie. Arkansas only has 1.8%, so the numbers mean very little. And Tennessee is very, very close with 10%. We then now have Bernie Sanders leading in Massachusetts with 6% reporting, but just barely, with Elizabeth Warren in a close third place. And in Texas with 20% reporting, Bernie has jumped out to plus 6. That would be huge for Bernie Sanders. If you look at the Texas polling, there are let's look at all of the polls. If you look at recent polls, you have Biden plus 2 this morning, Sanders plus 5, Sanders plus 4, Sanders plus 9. The average is Sanders plus 1.5. If indeed Bernie can hold a lead like this, plus 6.5, that's big. That is the exact, I said, what Bernie needs tonight is to overperform in California and overperform in Texas, or Texas, as I like to call it. And he's doing it in Texas so far with 20% reporting. We are just minutes from polls closing at the top of the hour, and we will see if anything new happens at that point in time. We have the Washington Post stream up. We have PBS results showing us a variety of different things, although they seem sort of behind, and we're going to keep an eye on all of that. Let me say thank you over on Twitch to T-Man20Rocks, as well as Applejacks4. Kaboomtastic has grabbed a subscription. Wild HBS has also subscribed. If you're just joining us, it has been so far probably on balance. I would say it's been better for Biden than Bernie, although Bernie is right now overperforming in Texas, which is the second biggest delegate treasure of the night. And we are expecting some additional results starting 2 minutes from now at the top of the hour. There, they are actually talking about these different regions I mentioned. The purple region is the Pioneer Valley and North area, where it is probably a Bernie, exactly as I said. These other areas so far going to, I don't know, is this the Biden color? Is that what that is? Bloomberg winning in those wealthy west of Boston suburbs. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Let me say thank you to a few new members. I want to say thanks to Yelena Sundukova, who is new member number 31 tonight. Moritz De Beer is new member number 32 tonight. Vincent Finley is new member number 33 tonight. Mo Kabara is new member number 34 tonight. And that's it. Okay, very good. We have 34 new members. Our goal is 100. And I invite you to grab a membership at joinpacman.com. All right, we are about to, what is this thing that they're running at the top of the hour every hour?
Create a lot of momentum for a candidate who's more conservative, who's more...
Oh, geez, these are like little, like historical things. Alabama called for Joe Biden. We already knew that. The Maine results continue to come in. And I believe that we are very close to getting some of these 9 p.m. Let's stay here because we are about to get some, presumably, Colorado as well as Minnesota results. Super chats continue to come in, and I will keep answering them as they come in. Bob Simon says, Bob Robertson still blocked. Please help, David. Bob, I'm unable to do anything about that during the stream, but if moderators can unban Bob Robertson on YouTube, please do it. Please do it. Stone the Forbidden says, if nominated, who would Biden pick as his VP? No idea. Heard a rumor of Kamala Harris. Riva2510 has grabbed a YouTube membership. Nico McKayan 5 says, David, can you explain how they can call wins at 1 to 6% reporting? Exit polls. Exit polls are very accurate. And if the exit poll says someone won by 30 or 40, you can safely call you can safely call the race in those situations. William Helmstetter says, Vermin Supreme 2020. Waller is me. Comparing Biden and Trump's sanity is like comparing apples to oranges. I see what you did there. Dylan McConnell says Bernie will lose Texas. Big voter suppression. Winning so far. Winning so far. Subtheory says, may I know what website you're using? So we've got, this is the Politico dashboard, and then we're also looking at the New York Times dashboard. They are sort of, they're updating some states earlier than others. And we are very soon here expecting Colorado and Minnesota numbers. Minnesota will be very interesting, actually. Let's look at the polling in Minnesota. Amy Klobuchar was doing very well in Minnesota. And as you can see here, she was polling 27 and 29. She dropped out and it flipped to Bernie +5. I believe Minnesota will be interesting because it's conceivable that there is an endorsement effect of Klobuchar. Oh,
the all-new Silverado HD adds to the legendary capability of the strongest, most advanced Silverados ever.
Oh boy, oh, it's right
With
here.
best-in-class
Oh my God,
camera
that is
technology
toxic.
and larger, more functional.
Oh my goodness, I seriously apologize about that. That's disgusting. The point is, I'm curious whether Minnesota will go to Sanders +5 or whether there is some follow-on momentum effect here to be expected. And we will see about that. Okay, let's get an update, 9 p.m. update here.
Oklahoma's an interesting state. We're at less than 10% reporting, but we have a significant number of votes, enough that we can start talking about themes that we're seeing. Now, there are 37 delegates available, and the thing that you can see about Oklahoma that's so interesting, it's an absolute patchwork, right? We've got some Sanders votes. We've got some Bloomberg votes up in the Panhandle. We even have some Warren votes. She's winning a county right now, which is really intriguing because she's not doing all that well nationally speaking or in the other states that we've been talking about. But again, part of the theme of the night, it's a big night for Joe Biden. And if you blur your eyes and take a look here, you're seeing a lot of blue. Now, the news is we have an awful lot of votes left to go. Oklahoma is another one of those states where we see a pronounced early vote from the more rural areas in the state, and we're going to expect to see more votes from those urban areas later in the night. We don't have anything from places like Norman. We have very few votes in Oklahoma City and Tulsa. Those are places where we're going to see probably more support for folks like Bernie Sanders.
Well, I think in Tulsa, it might go for Tulsi.
The only other place that I'm really interested to talk to you about is we've got a few votes available here in Arkansas. The state has 31 delegates available, and we're seeing, again, a lot of strong Biden in the early vote, although up here in Fayetteville, we're seeing some Sanders strengths. I expect that he's going to do pretty well in Fort Smith as well. And interestingly, rounding out third place, Michael Bloomberg, he's doing pretty well. He's even winning himself a county right now, Greene County. It's far northeast. It's not very big, but hey, he's doing well there. And that's what we've got right now, Libby.
All right, Jeremy, so let's talk about the big state of Texas. Lots of delegates up for grabs. What's happening there?
You know, Texas is a huge state, and I don't just say this because it makes up a large amount of area. It also has a ton of delegates. Now, we have very early results in Texas. We're missing a lot of the big places in the state, but there are some interesting patterns already emerging. Sanders and Biden were basically neck and neck in the state in the polls leading up to tonight. And it looks like Sanders in the early vote is doing a little bit better than Joe Biden. We're seeing him at about 30% of the vote. He's doing really well in Austin, which is not at all surprising. And he's doing well in the suburbs of Dallas.
Now, the thing is, this data is outdated because they're talking about with less than 10% reporting. But as we already know, we actually have, 5% reporting. That's behind as well. Okay, on Politico, with 20% reporting, It is +6 for Bernie Sanders. Let's refresh and see. I don't know if this is refreshing automatically. It is not. We now have new information. Okay, let's take a look here. Very good. So Alabama, Virginia, North Carolina called for Joseph R. Biden Jr. Vermont called for Bernie Sanders. Maine, it's for Biden right now. Oklahoma, it's going for Biden right now. Arkansas is going for Biden right now. Tennessee, why is this spanning all the way across? That's weird. Does anybody know why that's happening? That must be some kind of glitch, right? I should just refresh that. No, but it's all the way across. So I guess we don't know what's happening in Tennessee. I'm guessing that this is Biden, this is Bernie, and this is Bloomberg. Yeah, it's weirdly stretching all the way across. Something seems like possibly a CSS issue happening here. We have nothing yet out of Colorado or Minnesota, although those are now in play and we are expecting data soon. And in Massachusetts, it is now once again a fight between Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders, with Elizabeth Warren back to third place. Texas still going in the direction of Bernie, although I don't like how this entire format just went haywire. Hopefully they'll have that fixed for us relatively soon. Yikes. That is ugly. That is ugly looking. Let's answer some more super chats. And by all means, I want to hear from you. One suggestion was send me a super chat. Let me know where you voted and for whom you voted or for who you voted. Either way. Enlightened Soy Boy says, David, when you go on the Joe Rogan Experience, could or will you recommend Stephen Kenneth Bennell II for a future podcast? Interesting. Harutiun Demirian says, when will the rest of the states vote? They're voting now. California closes in an hour and 54 minutes. Or unless you mean other states altogether, some on March 10th and subsequent dates. Harrison says, also for Tallahassee, voting for Bernie in 2 weeks. Matt Chavez, can you do live Medicare for All math based on Bernie's plan? No, not right now. Jordan Genson says, Bernie, Oklahoma. Bernie, Oklahoma. All right. Justine Dowenauer, Washington State voted for Bernie. Mr. R.C. the Don, Bernie, 189,000 votes in Texas will get more than Trump. Evan Sutherland, why are winners being declared with 1 or 2%? Exit polls already addressed that. Miguel Palacios, make sure to check if your ballot has been counted. I'm in California. It said mine wasn't counted due to a missed signature. Had to go in person to fix it. Mike Litoris, there you go. And it just scrolled past. Hold on. Where was that? Hold on a second here. There it is. Does that mean Tulsi can be on the next debate? No. Isaac Lewis, Texas at 21% on Google. Clever to swear. What's the difference between a ride symbol and a crash symbol? Can you demonstrate the difference with your voice? Also, Macho Man drum cover for Trump. So the ride symbol, you can actually ride, and it's often used in jazz implementations. And a good ride, you can play 3 different ways. You can play the end. You can crash a ride cymbal. You can play the bell, or you can play sort of like that middle area. And a crash cymbal, you could ride a crash cymbal maybe in some heavier applications, but why are we even talking about this? The Real Life Channel says Chris Matthews' old show, David Pakman Hardball. Junie McGraw, Michael Bloomberg, king of the American Samoa. Coin Collector 82 says establishment will never let Bernie take it. John Sebastian Pinero says, hey, from Canada, odds on Bernie's chances. I have no special insight. The latest estimates are Bernie has a 10% shot of hitting the 50% +1 before the convention. Aniket Patil, will you be a pro-Bernie contributor on MSNBC now that Chris Matthews is gone? If they want to invite me, I'll gladly show up. Mike K says, a positive note for Bernie and his supporters tonight. We don't have to hear Chris Matthews compare tonight to D-Day. Yeah, my thoughts exactly. Kaylin Brooks, hey, David, thoughts on Cornel West? Extraordinarily compelling speaker. Saw him speak live not that long ago. David Hammer says, have you considered traveling to Scandinavia? I've been to Denmark. I've been to Finland, and I always forget, is Finland Nordic but not Scandinavian, or the other way around? I never remember. And I would love to go to Sweden and Norway very, very soon. W.S. Lewis IV says, I did a $10 super chat during the debate, but you signed off before you got to it. Can you shout out Walter and my son Ariu? Yes, shout out to Walter and Eru. I appreciate that very, very much. Let's thank a few other people before I fall too far behind, which angers a lot of people. I don't want that to happen. Let me say a big thank you to Ryan Morrison. Ryan is new member number 35 tonight at joinpacman.com. Charlie Milson is new member number 36 tonight. Andrew Padden is new member number 37 tonight. And Michael Malone is new member number 38 tonight. Thank you very much. I invite you, if you're just joining us, we will be here for the evening. It's going to be a long night. With peace and love, I humbly invite you to grab a membership at joinpacman.com. It's very cheap. It's quick. It's easy. It's the most direct way to support us. But we have a cool coupon code, 2020 now, and we have a target of 100. We're at 38 out of 100. We've dealt with this part of the bar, and now we're sort of moving over here. Let's get some updated numbers, if we can, over from the Politico data and see what's happening in Texas. Texas now with a little bit more of the vote in and a little bit of a bigger lead for Bernie Sanders. So far, the Texas numbers are better than expected for Bernie. In Arkansas, we see a fight with 4% reporting Biden is up slightly. Tennessee, Massachusetts, and Maine have Biden up for now. And more states have moved to the called column. We will get a delegate update momentarily. But to catch you up, Joe Biden has won Alabama with a plus 48 almost. Virginia has been won by Joe Biden by plus 30. Oklahoma has been won by Biden, currently plus 12. North Carolina by Biden plus 10. That underperforms the polls. So Biden is underperforming in some of these spots. Vermont and Colorado have been called for Sanders. Colorado must be such a major Sanders win that based on the exit polls, they were able to call it. We have the first numbers from Minnesota. These are almost completely meaningless because it is 0.1%. Okay, Biden's up 15, but it's 0.1%. Doesn't tell us anything. Tennessee, it is starting to become an important lead for Biden as he is plus 6 with 23%, much the same way that Texas plus 6 for Bernie with 23% is significant. But Maine may be a fight to the end. We will see. Massachusetts, very interesting, but with 10% reporting, Elizabeth Warren in her home state of Massachusetts, here in Massachusetts, falling to a relatively distant third place. I believe if Warren loses Massachusetts by 10, if these were the results, I believe Warren is out within 48 hours. That's where I see things going. Updated numbers on delegate math. Remember, 1991 delegates are needed to win the nomination. Let's zoom this thing in a little bit if we can. There we go. Isn't that better? Beautiful. Joe Biden currently has 174 delegates. Bernie Sanders, 112. Warren has picked up a few and is up to 12. Michael Bloomberg has 6 delegates, and Tulsi Gabbard has grabbed a delegate in American Samoa. Amy is stuck at 7 and Buttigieg at 26, as they have already exited their respective races. And that is where we are right now. Some exit polling data on the screen, which we will keep an eye on as the evening continues. Let me say some Twitch thank yous. Huge thank you on Twitch. Oh boy, there are some brutal usernames. Pilgrim to Pimp has subscribed with Prime. Hex Seeker has subscribed with Prime. AC0510 has gifted another 2 subscriptions. Tax the Rich has subscribed with Prime. And Morgan Neg has subscribed with Prime as well. Thank you very, very much. If you want to get a question up on the screen, Super Chat is a beautiful way to do it. Super Chats that are coming in include one from Ange L. What happens to delegates after someone drops out? They're basically held until the convention, at which point they can be released and there are negotiations that take place. GR says, Pacman, it's GR. They have coverage, but they aren't onto it yet. It's the coverage, Pacman. Think it over. Subs, sections, not real world words, Pacman. No idea what you're talking about. Trenton Turner says, if Bernie is on the path to a weak plurality after this, is there any hope that the nomination will not be stolen on the second ballot. There is some hope. There is some hope. Let's put it that way. Matt Stone, why is Biden performing so well without having campaigned in a Super Tuesday state in over a month? Bernie draws tens of thousands to rallies compared to Biden's dozens. This is why rally size, no matter who it is not the indicator of how people are going to vote. Oh, sorry about that. Let me scroll back up. Mr. RC the Don says, Colorado called for Bernie. You need to use Google. Yeah, we saw that. We saw Colorado called for Bernie here, as we can see. Let's get an update of the numbers. Vermont and Colorado for Bernie, 4 states so far for Biden. Minnesota, still very little information. Tennessee now with 30% and a 7-point lead for Biden is becoming significant, as I mentioned before. Texas now at 25% with +6 for Bernie. I would be shocked if Texas ended up going for someone other than Bernie at this point. Again, when it's 22 to 28, the delegates will be split relatively evenly. Importantly, if indeed Michael Bloomberg has 19% in Texas, that is also going to hurt Bernie in terms of the delegates that he gets. If more people are viable at 13.3, Warren may also be viable in some districts and may be able to pick up some support there. Massachusetts continues to build and not look good for Elizabeth Warren. That is another important state that we are looking at as well. Let me say a few other thank yous to folks who have signed up on my website. Tyler James is new member number 39 tonight. I want to say thank you to Kenny Holtz, who is new member number 40 tonight. James Calhoun is new member number 41. And Christopher Hardig is new member number 42. Thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it. We have been streaming, I think, everything but the Nevada caucuses. I was out of town for Nevada. We've been doing streams every single night. If you're just joining us on YouTube, please smash that like button. I really would appreciate that. We've been doing tests, and when people enter a stream and like it and hit the subscribe button, YouTube thinks, holy shit, this may be a stream that we should suggest to people, and then way more people come in. So please do hit the like button and the subscribe button. Both are very, very much appreciated. It's free, and it just takes a second. And if you're watching over on Twitch, make sure you're following my channel as well. We are trying to reach 30,000 followers over on Twitch. Let's see here. Bridget Harding says voted for Bernie in California. Miguel Palacios says voted for Bernie in Orange County, California. Jordan Jensen. Jensen is pronounced Jensen. Okay. Big fan of the show. Thank you. Gormarath says, do you honestly think there's any hope for Bernie after tonight? Yes, there is hope. We need to follow this to the end. The last 48 hours really turned me off to the political process. I'm pretty disgusted. I understand that. Trust me, I understand that. But there is hope, and we've got to play it through to the end. Michael Norman says voted in Springfield, Massachusetts for Bernie. Very mixed voting here. Art Flores says Bernie for Los Angeles County, California. Nick Tompkin has signed up. Brian Holiday is a member. Callan Brooks says, read Sean McFate's book, The New Rules of War. I interviewed Sean McFate about it. John IV says, odds Warren endorses Bidey Boy once she drops. I think it's a 2/3 chance Warren endorses Biden. Joe Rader says, hey, David, you missed my wife Lisa's new membership. Oh, did I? Hold on a second. Hold on a second here. Lisa. Let me see if I can find Lisa. Lisa Rader. There it is. Lisa Rader is new member number 43. I apologize. Not trying to leave anybody out on the action. And while we're here, I'll say thank you to David Graham, who's new member number 44. Mike Hernandez is new member number 45. And we are getting dangerously close to halfway, which is completely crazy, completely crazy. W.S. Lewis IV says, ha, Ariu says thanks. By the way, I was first in line at my polling station to vote for Bernie at 7 a.m. today in Killeen, Texas. Justine Dowenauer says, do you believe that Warren not dropping out and endorsing Bernie, combined with her choice of attacks on Bernie, is hurting her and her progressive base? Also, do you think she should drop out and endorse him? Well, I don't know that she would endorse him if she drops out. That's the missing piece here. And assuming that she would is potentially very dangerous. Let's see what updated numbers we have, as the numbers now are starting to come in relatively quickly. Okay, let's see. Minnesota, no valuable information yet. Maine, it's tight, but Biden slightly ahead. Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren is now 12 behind first place in Massachusetts, which is not good for her. Biden is building what may soon be a lead in Tennessee that gives him the state. Arkansas with 7% for Biden, and Bernie still very, very solid in Texas. Very, very solid in Texas. Now, where is, let's see. Oh, Oklahoma has been called. Right. We already talked about that. Very good. Okay. Let's see what's happening over with the New York Times as data continues to come in here. In Colorado, which has been called for Bernie already, does look like a big lead for Bernie in the initial results. It has been called for Bernie Sanders already. Texas, looking like it is going in the direction of Bernie Sanders as well. Minnesota with 2% reporting is +9 for Biden, but that is early. That is very, very early still. And it could go either way. Some of the New York Times numbers are ahead of Politico. Some of the New York Times numbers are behind the Politico numbers. So we'll keep an eye on both as the evening continues. Over on PBS, no new results there to speak of, but we'll stick with PBS at least for a little bit here. Let me say thank you to Parajax0 for subscribing on Twitch, as well as JRAM96 and Death Baloney. Death Baloney has subscribed. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thorolfer Beck says, did you see Pascrell of the Ways and Means Committee speak truth Mnuchin? The Mnuch might be the least charismatic person alive. His snide and obtuse grin makes me want to cry blood and drink bleach. Well, don't do that. I don't want you doing that. I didn't see it, though. GGHJ says, debate progressive voice. I don't even know what that means. Which progressive? Brian Holiday says, why do people like Biden? I'm confused. It is confusing. It is very, very confusing. I'm with you. Joseph Vanskoy says, people need to stop saying Bernie or bust. I voted Bernie, but we cannot afford 4 more years of Trump. Our planet cannot afford 4 more years of Trump. I agree. I agree with you, my friend. Oppie says, hey, Pacman, you feeling the Tull surge now that she picked up a delegate? Yes. I already apologized tonight and said I made the assertion that Tulsi did not have a path to a single delegate, and I was wrong. She has a path and has indeed secured a single delegate, as you can see here. Updated delegate counts. Doesn't seem like this has changed. 174 to 112. Joe Biden, Bernie, 174 to 112 are the numbers as of right now. We are expecting more data to come in between now and... So at 10 p.m., in fact, let's look at that. The schedule is that at 10 p.m., Utah closes, expected to go to Bernie, and at 11 p.m., California closes, expected to go to Bernie. California and the margin is basically what there is to wait for tonight as these other states continue to be counted. Depending on the margin in California, you could see Joe Biden end the night in the lead, or you could see Bernie Sanders end the night in the lead. That's what it's going to come down to in the end. And I know many of you are aware of that if you saw my segment about this today. Let's see. I'm getting a report that the Texas numbers have shrunk. Let's take a look at that. There is shrinkage. Not seeing it here. So far here, it's still +6 for Bernie. Let's see with the New York Times. Still +6 for Bernie. Let's see if we can find, let's see, if I type Texas Democratic primary results, what do we have? Everybody right now is showing +6 for Bernie with 4% reporting. So if someone wants to tell me where that's going on, I would be interested in knowing about that. But I'm not seeing that. Real Clear Politics. Okay. Let's see. Popular vote. Oh, wait. No, hold on a second. Election 2020, Democratic popular vote in Texas. March 2016, Sanders, Biden. Sanders up 46,000. Look at the map. Texas. Sanders 28. This is showing the same thing as well. Bernie +6. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm just not seeing it. Oh, it went from 25% to 3% reported. Yeah, right. That is very true. We were at much more reported. That is weird. Is that some kind of a glitch? That's very strange. That is going to raise questions. There is no question about that. That is going to raise a number of different questions. Let me say thank you to a few other fine folks. Eric Briscoe is new member number 46 tonight. Thank you, Eric. Joey Beatcash is new member number 47 tonight. Emily Surrett is new member number 48 tonight. Appreciate that. We are just 2 new members away from 50. Let's do a little something, okay? I love giving stuff away. Whoever is new member number 50 on my website tonight, you get a free item from my online store. We've got coffee mugs, T-shirts, all sorts of stuff, okay? So whoever is new member 50 tonight at joinpacman.com, you can use the coupon code or not use it, doesn't matter. New member number 50, free item. We'll ship it anywhere in the world that has reasonable, package delivery services. I don't think we could get something into North Korea. But new member number 50 tonight, I will personally handle getting you an item, or an item, as some people say. Okay, let's continue with the super chats. Oh Malad says GOP literally voting Biden. Adam Waddington says, if there was a cap on ad circulation and funding, do you think Bernie would be in a better position? And would Bloomberg even have bothered? No, I mean, Bloomberg would have no shot at any state if you weren't allowed to just buy ads and spend hundreds of millions of dollars. No question. That's why the system we have is completely broken. Oh Malad says Republicans literally voting Biden. Again, okay. Karsten's Chronicle says some places in Austin report having 2+ hour lines. And that's, my guess is that's a Bernie stronghold. Junie McGraw says, what does Junie McGraw say? I don't see any point for Warren to continue after today. I hope she gets primaried in Massachusetts for her vanity. Voted Bernie in Chicago. Yeah, please keep letting me know via Super Chat. Where did you vote and who did you vote for? Applejacks4 says, will we ever get away from a 2-party only system in the U.S.? How can we do it? 2 things need to happen. 1, fix campaign finance. 2, some version of ranked choice voting, single transferable vote at all, I guess is what I would say. Both of those things need to be fixed. Amber Davidson has grabbed a YouTube subscription. Manny has grabbed a YouTube subscription. Remember, the offer for the free item is for website memberships at joinpacman.com. New member number 50 will get a free item from the David Pakman Show online store, davidpakman.com/gear. Oh boy, and you know what? The website may have actually gone down again because so many people are trying to get a membership at once. Oh boy. The website is just getting hammered. We're actually, I'm going to need to talk to my webmaster and see if she wants to upgrade our hosting because it's getting very, very ugly there. Let's see. We're going to have to do a hard reset of the website, I think, because it is getting extremely sluggish from all of the people trying to get that free loot from the David Pakman Show online store. We're going to do a quick reboot of the website, and it should be back up and running before you know it, my friends, before you know it. Okay. Rhonda Lee asks, how do they reassign delegates from the dropouts? They're held until the convention, and then it's part of the negotiation process. They can be released. Jose says, why are you denying the Tulmentum? I know, I'm terrible for believing Tulsi has no chance. Teretp says, convinced a friend to not vote Tulsi today because I showed him one of your videos. Thank you. My pleasure. Joseph Vanskoy says, really don't think people realize the winner in 2020 will likely pick at least one Supreme Court justice. If we lose, then say hello to Supreme Court Justice Jeanine Pirro. Yeah, it could potentially get very ugly. I see the messages from people saying the website is down. I am doing a hard reboot on the website to try to clear the tubes for you guys. I know people are trying to sign up and get that free loot. So far, it has not been claimed. New member number 50 gets the free loot, but the website is in the process of resetting. And it should be reset very, very soon. A user whose username is all numbers has signed up. Tyler James says, recommend one or more must-read political books. I don't read political books, so I couldn't tell you. I'm sorry. Any tips on getting started learning chess? Yeah, leechess.org and chess.com both have a bunch of different free sort of like basic start to learn chess courses. I would start there. Aaron Robbins says Irving, Texas voted for Bernie. Azim Abu Khalil says Fort Worth, Texas voted for Bernie. A lot of Texas. We've so far heard from Killeen, Irving, and Fort Worth folks who have voted today for Bernie Sanders. That is very, very interesting. And let's see what the latest numbers are here as they continue to come in. Texas now up to 6%, and it is +6 for Bernie Sanders. Minnesota starting to look okay for Joe Biden. Something else has been called. Oh, Tennessee has been called. Tennessee has now been called for Joe Biden, as I suggested it would. The math now insurmountable. The question is, what will the split be? Biden 35, Bernie 24, and Elizabeth Warren. No, Bloomberg 20. Wow, Elizabeth Warren not even a factor. Let's get updated delegate math if we can. Website is back up, by the way. Appreciate everybody who stood by. Joe Biden now up to 192 delegates, with Bernie Sanders at 122, Warren 12, Bloomberg 9. Remember, I said by the time this is all said and done, Bloomberg will likely end up third or fourth in delegates. I still believe that that may well be the case. Michael Bloomberg tonight is on track for more delegates than Elizabeth Warren. Let's take a look at it. In the states that have already been called, the states that have already been called don't matter because those are already in those numbers. In states that have not yet been called, you see Bloomberg viable in Arkansas and doing very well in Texas. Understand that if Bloomberg gets 19% in Texas, he will get almost as many delegates out of Texas as Joseph R. Biden Jr. Warren may get no delegates there at all. And then I guess that's sort of it so far. Colorado will get Bloomberg delegates, Tennessee, North Carolina, Oklahoma maybe at the district level. But by the end of the night, Bloomberg may indeed have more delegates than Elizabeth Warren, and that will certainly be a sight to behold, so to speak. Okay. I see a lot of people asking, is the free item still available? It is. So I announced that new member number 50 would get a free item from my online store. So many people wanted the item that it crashed the website. I just rebooted the website. It's back up and it's still on the table. Okay. Checking in more folks here via Super Chat. Let me make sure I don't miss any of these. Okay. Okay, Roger Rivera voted in Los Angeles for Uncle Bernie, Theo Bernie. City Guy USA sends a super chat. Dan says, all Bernie here in Berkeley. Warren to drop soon. She may drop within a day or two, yeah. Gregor Kildow, Bernie in Virginia was like watching a Democratic-Republican split. Cities and college towns went Bernie. Everywhere else went Biden. ND Faithful 89 says, voted in Austin for Bernie. Ruth Keimer got a subscription. Kermit Standback says, which candidates are most likely to pack the Supreme Court? Probably none. Probably none. Tyler Sylvester, I early voted for Bernie Boy in Texas. JC Video, plenty of Christian conservatives went to vote against Trump, but we need a pro-life Dem. Want to vote against Trump, but we need a pro-life Dem. Going to be hard to find one. Going to be very hard to find one. In the latest numbers, Maine has swung back into the Bernie Sanders column but just barely. Barely. We'll keep an eye on that one. That is an interesting race for sure. Okay. Getting some kind of weird low resolution video here from the Washington Post. Let's see if we can fix that. We don't like that low res video. I don't anyway. All right, good. We're now back and looking good. Let me say thank you to folks signing up with Twitch Prime, including Kuruksman and that's it. Okay, just Kuruksman. Thank you very much. Okay. New member number 49 tonight is Keegan Bryan or Keegan Bryan. Unsure how it's pronounced. That's new member number 49. That means that the next person to sign up at joinpacman.com gets a free item from the David Pakman Show online store. If you've been waiting for that free good stuff, this is the time to do it. Okay, continuing on, reading where people voted and for who. Adam Boy, Seth Simonelli voted in East Falmouth, Mass for Bernie. City Guy, Centauri says go vegan. Who's vegan? Is that a first name or a last name? I didn't think they were on the ballot. RJ Duarte says Magnolia, Texas, Bernie 2020. Small town north of Houston. Rolando says, why are people voting Biden? He stands for nothing. Rolando adds, why are people voting Biden? He stands for nothing. Okay. Coco Luna says, voted in North Carolina with friends. Hope Bernie wins big. I believe North Carolina has already been bigly called for Joe Biden, but could still win other places. Nikolai says, voted for Bernie in Tampa, Florida. T-Man says, if Bloomberg wins the general election, does he appoint Judge Judy? Bloomberg is not going to win the general election. Jesus Navarrete says, thank you. Adam Boy says the Politico site is better than Iowa's election app. Yes, it is. It is much better. Very much better. Okay. And new member number 50 tonight is, oh no, they're not in yet. New member number 50 is still in play. Oh no, Michael Mace. Okay. Michael Mace or Michael MCSE. That's weird. Michael, you are new member number 50 tonight. You have earned the free item from the David Pakman Show online store. Send me an email through my website contact form. davidpakman.com. Contact form lets you contact me. Okay, we are now only 23 minutes from Utah closing, and we may get some data there. Let's actually see. The New York Times has been posting data even before states close. Nothing out of Utah yet, though. Nothing out of Utah yet. Let's see what the latest numbers here are looking like. So far, if you are just joining us, let's go through everything. If you're just joining us, let's imagine you have not been watching us for the last 2 hours. If you're just joining us, Joe Biden has won 5 states tonight. Those are Alabama, Virginia, Oklahoma, North Carolina, and Tennessee. Bernie Sanders has won Vermont and Colorado. Let's just look at where the Colorado polling was. Let me go back a little bit here. Colorado, I have to search for it. Colorado Democratic primary. Bernie was winning every poll by as much as 14, and Bernie is winning Colorado right now by 16. Okay, so Bernie slightly overperforming there. 5 states for Joe, 2 states for Bernard. From what is in play right now, we have Minnesota staying in Biden's corner, although not by much, with 17% of the vote in. We have, that's weird. Why is that not strange? Oh, there we go. Hold on a second. I had the wrong view up. There it is. I apologize for that. Maine is going back and forth between Biden. Oh, something has just been called. Hold on. Oh, no, it hasn't. Okay, sorry about that. In Maine, we are going back and forth between a slight lead for Bernie and a slight lead for Biden. In Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren in her home state is falling further and further behind, now down almost 13 points in Massachusetts, and Joe Biden has built a 5-point lead here, although it is still early. In Arkansas, Joe Biden currently has an 8-point lead with 10% reporting. Bloomberg almost doing better than Bernie, actually. In Arkansas, my guess is if this lead stays around 20%, this will probably be called for Biden, maybe 25%. And then in Texas, with 5% reporting, Bernie's lead continuing to be right around 6%. Right now it's 5.9%. And a lot of things happening in Texas. Texas, very, very important for Bernie Sanders. The delegate count, updated now, has Joe Biden extending his delegate lead to 108. So understand that the two numbers that matter at the end of the night will be Biden's delegate count and Bernie's delegate count. That will be determined by the margin in California and the margin in Texas, primarily. The margin in North Carolina is already not looking good, right? Bernie is down 13 to Joe Biden. So in order to make up this gap, it's going to come down to Bernie getting ideally a bigger win for him in Texas, getting a bigger than 5 or 6 point win in California. We don't know what's going to happen in California. And Utah projected to go to Bernie as far as I know, but we will continue tracking the exact numbers by which that happens. Similar numbers here from the Washington Post. Well, actually, according to the New York Times, with 13% in Massachusetts, Biden is up 6.8. That is starting to become significant. And in Texas, with 10% reporting, Bernie plus 6. So I believe it's looking more and more like Bernie Sanders has Texas locked down. And we'll see if that changes. But those numbers looking better and better for Bernie Sanders there. Okay. Welcome if you were just joining us. If you're watching me on Twitch, welcome. Make sure to follow the Twitch channel and consider yourself invited to grab a Twitch subscription. If you're joining me on YouTube, this is so important. Please like and subscribe to my channel. This stuff is free, okay? When people like and subscribe, we get an influx of new viewers because YouTube either gets tricked or is rightly directed to suggest to people this stream rather than other streams. So please hit that like button. We are close to 3,000 likes on the YouTube stream, and certainly make sure you subscribe. We could, if just a fraction of you hit subscribe, we could get to 812,000 subscribers like that. I mean, just like that, a few seconds anyway is what it would take. Okay, let's look at more messages coming in via Super Chat. Remember, via Super Chat, you can get your questions up on the screen. But if you voted today, tell me via Super Chat where you voted, who you voted for. That's what we want to hear. Let's see here. Where did I leave off? Okay, Zachary Monroe says, I voted early for Bernie in Flagstaff. Is a journalism minor a good pair with a political sci major? Yes. I'm thinking about becoming a future independent journalist or even aiming for the presidency in 2040. I do want to tell you one thing, though. If you're going to work for yourself and do independent media, the business skills are actually really important to have. A lot of the other stuff you can learn by doing. It's good to know it, but the business side is good to have. KWB says, just tuned in. Looks like things are going well for Biden. Does this make a contested convention more likely, you think? Yes, it does. Bill Ebeling says, why do people support Biden? He's more Republican than Democrat. A fair question for many of his supporters. Brian Fagans, so do you think tonight spells the end for Bernie? Not necessarily. We've got to get all the numbers in before we can say that. Rolando says, David, what would you do if we kissed at the DNC? Rolando, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, my friend. Dillinger Sciatic says Corpus Christi, Texas voted for Bernie. Loney Vogler says my son and I both voted Bernie in SoCal, trying to convince my daughter as well, who is on her way to the polls. Kai Spooky says voted for Bernie in Utah. Little Solace says Modesto, California. Senator Sanders, vamos Bernie. Vamos means let's go in Spanish, in case you were wondering. AC says, Latinos para Bernie. Voté para el Bernie en Phoenix. Latinos for Bernie voted for the Bernie in Phoenix. Dreaming Cat Studio has subscribed. Keith voted in Little Rock, Arkansas for Bernie Sanders. A user, I don't read Arabic, but a user whose name is in Arabic has signed up. Appreciate that. Corey Gorski says, you advertise a cereal product as GMO free. Is this not pandering to conspiracy theory like fluoride free? With such a pro-science base, why not ask that advertiser to omit that phrase? I thought we had omitted it from the ads. I will look into that. I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. I will look into that. Ryan Henry Dean says, why does Predict It still have Biden winning Texas? I don't know. Nice Guy Eddie says, voted for Bernie. Monrovia, California, Latinos for Bernie. Thank you. Okay, let me thank a few other people here. We are now entering, folks. We are 1 hour and 45 minutes into the stream, and we are now entering the second half of our goal of 100 new members. You know, when I said we were going to try to get 100 new members on my website tonight, they laughed and they shouted and they cried and they tried to beat me up and they tried to crash my website. But now that we are within striking distance, they're not crying anymore. Javier Alicea has grabbed the 51st membership tonight. Diana Bridget is new member number 52 tonight. Imari Ramos is new member number 53 tonight. Francisco Carabes, or Carabes, not sure how you pronounce your last name, is new member number 54 tonight. Chaz Club is new member number 55. We are, let me see, 55 divided by 100, 10 divided by 5 is 2, 55, carry the 0. 55% of the way there. Thank you. Thanks for sticking with me as I did that math. Let's see here. Other people. Pavid Dackman says, lee esto sin tu acento argentino. He says, read this without your Argentinian accent. I don't know how. I don't know that. I don't even hear my Argentinian accent. It's weird. Epic Fails says, voted in Portland, Maine today. They had run out of Democratic ballots. At one point, the general feel was people were overwhelmingly going Bernie. Tyler Raybon says, voted for Bernie in Birmingham, Alabama. I didn't expect him to win here, but I was optimistic for a large young voter turnout, which didn't happen. JC Video says, have DP and Ben Shapiro ever actually spoken or debated? Yes. Ben Shapiro has been on my program. And we have, it wasn't a formal debate of any kind, but certainly it was spirited. Let me put it that way. Let's listen to what's happening here on PBS. And actually, no, they are not even talking about what's going on. Let's listen to what's happening on the Washington Post. I'm going to get a water refill, and then we will continue. We are at 12 minutes from Utah polls closing.
What's been really interesting, and I think we were talking earlier about the difference between backing someone who shares your ideology versus who you think is electable. We are seeing some of these states where Democrats who are self-identifying as very liberal still backing Biden because they believe that Biden ultimately can beat Trump in the end more so than Sanders. And so it's really interesting. I would be really fascinated to see if, in the general, what type of platform Biden puts forward that could appease these voters a bit more while keeping some of the conservative, more moderate voters.
Yeah, David, when we look at Nevada and the turnout in Nevada and this energy that Bernie Sanders was able to have there, what do you parse through there that might tie into what you're hearing tonight?
Yeah, so I would say the results in Nevada showed that Bernie Sanders had a lot of energy with the activist base, but the activist base is not the entirety of the party. And that's kind of what we're seeing in the results tonight, that a lot of rank and file voters really do care about electability, like Eugene and James were saying. And another interesting sort of wrinkle in that is that if you look at polling, you can ask the question a couple different ways, and it's hard to pin an exact number on it. But a lot of Democrats, when given the choice between going back to the policies and approach of the Obama era or moving to the left, a lot of Democrats do still choose the Obama era. It's oftentimes split. There's a lot of people in both camps. So I'm thinking that Biden is probably also benefiting from that as much as Sanders has moved the party in his direction.
Well, we've heard about Bernie bros, of course, a term sometimes used to describe Bernie supporters. But here at the Washington Post, we caught up with Bernie Sanders' actual bro, Larry Sanders. This is his brother. Now, he voted today in the Democrats Abroad Global primary. Listen to this distinctive voice of his as he talked to our colleague Carla Adam in London.
The risk of war, either from a jerk like like Trump, or from somebody like Biden who's been caught up in this whole American police the world thing for decades. I think that Bernard is outside of that. He understands he's not a pacifist, but he's practical, he's decent, he's sensible, and we don't need those horrible wars.
Bernie Sanders' brother who voted today.
It's amazing because what that reflects is if Joe Biden becomes the nominee, if he emerges out of this, Bernie Sanders has successfully painted him as a moderate. You know, we kind of do it reflexively now. In fact, Joe Biden is running on a more liberal platform than Hillary Clinton did 4 years ago. But because Bernie Sanders has moved the Overton window, now we're kind of talking about Biden as this moderate. You know, we're hearing from Sanders' brother in London, and that's going to be hard for Republicans to undo in a general election context because it's so now kind of deeply ingrained that Biden is like more, you know, to the middle than Sanders. And that could end up working to his advantage.
And we do see this opening period for people to be able to vote abroad. So that is also significant here as we watch that happen over the next days. Let's go back to our colleague Jeremy and the Election Insights team. Now, Jeremy, I hear we're getting some fresh results. So what's happening in Amy Klobuchar's home state of Minnesota?
You know, Libby, that's a really good question. This is one of those places we've been watching tonight because as Klobuchar dropped out of the race and gave her support to Joe Biden, we've been looking to see if maybe Minnesota is one of the places where we can see that concrete action start to take place. And we are seeing that a little bit in the state of Minnesota. So this is one of those places where Biden is having another pretty good night. He's got about 35% of the vote with about 21% of the vote in. And we're looking at 75 delegates in the state of Minnesota. Now, Biden is not going to win all of those. He is still going to give up a handful to Bernie Sanders, more than a handful, really. The truth is, this is looking more and more like a two-candidate race. Although we do have Elizabeth Warren down here at 17%, she's going to be above the delegate threshold, which means she's going to get at least something out of Minnesota. Now, the thing that's a little more difficult to say about this is, even if Biden holds on to win the state, does it really matter in a case where he wins 35% of the vote and Bernie Sanders wins 33%? That might be one delegate difference between the two of them, and that's just not that much. And that's one of those cases where winning a state, it doesn't really mean that much in terms of the delegate math, Libby.
I'd love to get the response here of James on that point that you're making, Jeremy. James, even if the delegates are split, that, you know, state might get a big check mark for whoever gets the most delegates. So even if it's like, you know, very close call, they both walk away with a nice delegate haul, it's that big check mark, so-and-so is the winner, and that's helps with momentum, right?
It helps with momentum, and it does help with the conversation. If you know, it ultimately what matters the most is delegates. And you know, in 2008, there were a bunch of nights where we called.
And on that note, let's get an updated delegate count. As of right now, Joe Biden's lead: 125 delegates, 125 delegates ahead of Bernie Sanders. As I have been predicting for a very long time, Michael Bloomberg now in fourth place, sort of third place from the people still running in terms of delegates. You all know I said it a very, very long time ago. And I don't think I had any special insight. It was just pretty obvious that he was going to get some delegates today. And we are just 8 minutes from more results coming in a number of different states. Colorado called, of course, for Bernie Sanders at this point in time. The Texas lead has now shrunk a little bit, but not an overwhelming amount. Still a 5.5% lead for Bernie Sanders. And the situation in Massachusetts is starting to get very, very real, as Elizabeth Warren almost 14 points behind in her home state, with Joe Biden building a lead of 6 points as the night has gone to 30 and now 31% reporting, and Biden still plus six here in Massachusetts. Very, very interesting, extremely interesting what is going on here, and disturbing to the progressive movement, no doubt. Let me say thank you to Nick Tompkin. Nick is new member number 56 tonight. Brandy Sarah is new member number 57 tonight. We are 57% of the way to 100 new members. If you're just joining us and you don't know what on earth I'm talking about, just a little thing we call membership at joinpacman.com. Every time someone signs up there, the bar continues to fill up, and it is very, very exciting stuff. Let me get back over to Super Chat. We are going through Super Chats, and people are telling me where they voted and who they voted for. Lordor 1000 says, I was the very first to vote for Bernie in Mecklenburg, North Carolina. I am frightened to go to work tomorrow and end up in a violent protest if Bernie isn't it. Well, Bernie did not win North Carolina. That we do know. Jackson says Bernie may be an actual socialist at heart, but if it's doubtful he could get Medicare for all passed, how the hell could he make the country socialist? Dumb. Yes, it's extremely dumb. Lance Smith says, I voted for Bernie in Whittier, California. Woo! Alex Sinsarak says, what's the most awkward encounter you've had with a fan, someone who watches your show in real life? I don't want to say because they could be watching, but there have been lots of them. John S. says, Biden breaking. AP says won Minnesota. I voted Bernie in Minnesota. Yeah, it was going that way. Let's get an update there. Minnesota now placed in the Biden column. Yep. And interestingly enough, I said when it gets to roughly 20%, if the margin stays like this, we may see it called. And indeed we did. Just mathematically at that point, based on the percentage that would have to be reversed for the remaining 80%, with every counted vote, it becomes more and more unlikely. So Minnesota now for Joe Biden. But remember, with proportional apportionment of delegates, the difference between 36 and 32% may not be big, particularly with Elizabeth Warren presumably viable there at 17.5%. That is very, very interesting, a very interesting development as we are just 5 minutes from data. I love data starting to come in Utah. So we're going to keep a very, very close eye on that as the numbers continue to come in. Okay, super chats, others. Alexa Cameron says Warren is pulling 7 to 25% off Bernie's back in every state. If we use their moderate math and add it together, then Bernie is still winning. That's if her supporters would actually go to Bernie. I think it is a question mark. It's not obvious to me that that would happen. DinoBot2 says Biden winning Minnesota makes sense due to Klobuchar's endorsement, but leading Maine and Massachusetts has to be a huge upset for both. Yeah, it is, because Biden was not supposed to win either. Dylan Hart says Warren screwed over Bernie. I used to like her. David McKay has grabbed a YouTube subscription. Dylan Hart says, again, doubly, Warren screwed over Bernie. I used to like her. Patrick says Warren has no excuse to be still in. She has shown her true colors and her ego. Skeptic Fence Show, Dave, you lose. You will always lose. I'm not in this thing. I don't know what you're talking about. It's weird. Let me say thanks to some people over on Twitch. Breezy subscribed with Prime and says voted for Bernie, Southern California. Yeah, if you voted and you're watching on Twitch, you can also include with your subscription message where and who you voted for. Grungy Dan grabbed a Twitch Prime sub. Spooky Donkey subscribed with Prime. Airtastic subscribed with Prime. Champ Wiki subscribed with Kiwi, not Wiki. Champ Kiwi. And says serious voter suppression. I tried to vote in Toronto for Bernie, but the polls were closed. That's sad. How did they not let you vote in Canada? Embarrassing. Very, very embarrassing. Let's see here. Hanan Aslam says, how can Bernie beat Trump if he can't beat Biden? Well, we'll see if he can beat Biden. Not looking good right now. Xander Gilbert says, do you think this day will go down in history as the day the progressive movement ended? Or it could be seen as the day the progressive movement started. We don't know yet. Let's see. Susan B says, voted for Bernie in Anniston, Alabama. Not all of us are backward. Thanks, Susan B. I appreciate that. Let me know via Super Chat where you voted and who you voted for, and it'll pop up right on the screen. JC Video says, what if Bernie publicly promised to make Warren his running mate if she drops out? Would she take it? Would they win? They would never do that. And if that's going to happen, they're going to talk about it beforehand. They're not just going to, Bernie's not going to just publicly say it. Okay, it is the top of the hour almost, and we are very close, very, very close to our first numbers from Utah. Very exciting situation in Utah. Bernie Sanders expected to win there. Let's look at the Utah polling. Bernie Sanders in the latest poll, the only poll conducted this month, Bernie Sanders +6 in Utah. That will be an interesting one to track. Note that both Warren and Bloomberg potentially viable in Utah, in addition to Biden. So it could end up being almost a four-way split. The polls there close in the next minute, and we are very, very soon going to start getting data. Let's see if we actually have anything. Not quite yet. The Massachusetts numbers are continuing to just slightly go in Joe Biden's favor. So the important thing to understand about these numbers are the lead has grown for Biden from 5 to 5.5, et cetera, as the count has come in. The count is now at 34%, and Biden's lead has grown to 6.3%. Utah is now on the board, and we will soon see vote numbers starting to come in from Utah. The only other state left voting tonight is California, worth 415 delegates, closing tonight at 11 p.m., 1 hour from now. If you're just joining us, welcome. We are covering the Super Tuesday results. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to like our stream. It really helps bring people in. In fact, when I said, please like the stream, it helps bring people in. We were at 4,900 viewers. We've now gotten about 300 more viewers, thanks to people liking the stream. And please hit the subscribe button as well, because we are now within striking distance of 812,000 YouTube subscribers. Very, very exciting stuff. Let's see who else people voted for as we await the first Utah numbers, keeping an eye both on the New York Times information as well as Politico. And we will see if the Washington Post stream starts to come in with anything. Joe Biden easily winning Tennessee, easily winning North Carolina. The margin actually they're growing to 16. The Alabama margin shrinking a little bit from where it was, although the race has been called. About a 30-point win in Virginia, as we talked about very early in the evening. Tulsi almost getting 1% of the vote there at 0.9. Let's see here. Other folks checking in. Joanna Corvinus says, or Corvinus, we are one election away from a 7-2 conservative Supreme Court majority. If you are LGBT+, this should terrify you. 45 must go, no matter what. You know I agree with that, Joanna. Taylor Neal Saidi says, what does Warren think her niche is going to be now? She's hated by both the establishment and progressives. By the way, voted Bernie in the Berkshires. I think she's trying to maybe get herself some negotiating power. I don't really know. Gregory Bertrand says, I feel like a lot of these reactions to Warren are toxic and would be different if she were a man. Interesting. Javier Alicea says, voted for Tio Bernie in Chicopee, Massachusetts. Love it. I recently was in Chicopee. I went to Massey's Seafood and had some delicious fish tacos. Javier says, convinced my mom and sister to vote for him as well in Chicopee and Springfield. Got my friends to vote in Westfield, Massachusetts. Beautiful. Salmon Savior says, voted in Worcester, Massachusetts, the home of Sam Cedar for Bernie. Would have voted for Yang if he was still in. Would accept Biden. Everyone else trash. Bloomberg is a comedian. Joanna Corvinus says, Corvinus, you got my name right the second time. Very good. We are awaiting data from Utah. Let me say thank you to Colin Fox, who is new member number 58 tonight, as well as John Cole, who is new member number 59 tonight. James Gluyas is new member number 60 tonight. Fabiola Quesada is new member number 61 tonight. Daniel McCabe is new member number 62 tonight. Appreciate that. Thanks to all of you. We are almost 2/3 of the way to our target of 100 new members tonight. Let's see if we have any Utah numbers coming in. We do. With 28% reporting, Bernard Sanders jumps to a big lead in Utah with 33% of the vote. Biden, as of right now, not even viable in Utah. That is good for Bernie because the polling did have Biden as likely viable in Utah. As of right now, the delegates in Utah, only 29, would be roughly split, not evenly split, but they would be split between Bernie, Bloomberg, and Warren in the second, third, and fourth columns on your screen, respectively. As of right now, Biden would likely get 0 delegates unless he has that 15% viability in some district, because it is at the district level that you have to be viable. Okay, if you are watching on Twitch, if you're one of the 1,500 people watching on Twitch, we have the rare opportunity right now called a hype train. There is an exclusive short amount of time during which we can work through hype trains level 1 through 5. This is your time, Twitch. If you've been waiting, this is your time. I'm talking about you guys. That is exactly right. But in the meantime, these are very bad numbers for Joe Biden, quite frankly. And the numbers in Texas not getting any better. Bernie holding for Biden. The numbers getting good for Bernie, holding a 6 percentage point lead. Bloomberg at 19%. Warren at 13%. I believe Massachusetts may soon be called for Joe Biden, as 37% of the vote is now counted. Joe Biden's lead has grown to 6.3%. It's been trickling all the way up and off my camera shot. Wow, things are getting crazy on Twitch. We're already at hype train level 3. That's wild. That things are moving quick, my friends. Things are moving very, very quick. Let's see if we have some updated Utah numbers. The New York Times still doesn't have them. Politico does, so we will stick with Politico for the time being. Okay, people continuing to check in on Super Chat. Where did you vote and for whom did you vote? Chad Williams says, David, did you cover Trump's addiction to Sudafed? The signs are insane. I've talked about it. Not everybody agrees with that analysis, but I have talked about it. Ronnie Hearns has grabbed a YouTube subscription. Thank you. KWB says, you say data with the same emphasis as Trump when he says China. Yeah. Angel Hernandez, waiting to be new member number 69. All right. If people want Angel to be new member number 69, we need a few other people to grab a membership or two. Things are going bonkers. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs on Twitch right now, where we have 4 minutes left to complete hype train level 3, and all sorts of people are going crazy throwing in. Let me thank ECG Thousen, Applejacks, Dracaris, Xizerwish, Swimmer, Twidgefelon, Eldub, Deckned, Joe Brogan, Tvix, Lockies, Monkey Bags, these names are crazy, Masterman Clevy, Only Butt Stuff, Vedran, Rossbeck, Termit, and who else? Shu, Ryan Rigo White. I'm struggling with some of these usernames. I'm not going to lie, but I always do the best I can. People continuing to check in about where they voted. Viperx1 says, voted Bloomberg. He's donated tons to Johns Hopkins. You are the only person so far today who indicated that they voted for Michael Bloomberg. Interesting. Dominic Richardson says, if Bernie wins plurality and DNC tries to steal it, will there be violence in Milwaukee? I don't know. From what I've seen, I can't rule that out, including from some of the people that have been writing to me. Okay, user says, hey, David, voted for Bernie in Edmond, Oklahoma. Took me far too long to get membership. Love your work, by the way. My name just means Michael the American. Okay. Is that, I believe that's Arabic. Michael the American. Ray1708 says, my wife said if Bernie loses, she will vote for Trump in November. Wow. That could be grounds for a separation in some relationships. Mr. Biscuit says, I will send an additional $2 if you can say the first line from Rapper's Delight from Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. I'll wait. I don't remember the first line. Timothy S. says, Dallas, Texas, Bernie. Bill Ebeling, Angel for 69. Rishi Gamakonda says, is Byrne hoping for big leads in Texas and California to win tonight? Yes, that's what it's going to come down to. And in fact, let's get a delegate update, friends. We now have a situation. And again, I tell you things as they are, not as I want them to be. Joe Biden has 281 delegates. Bernie has 168. This means that Joe Biden is now defeating Bernie Sanders in the delegate count by 113. We still need to see what happens in Texas and California. Ladies and gentlemen, we have completed Hype Train Level 5 on Twitch. It's now all gravy. Let's listen to Bernie.
We are saying to the fossil fuel industry, their short-term profits are not more important.
By the way, this is Levi Sanders, Bernie's son. We're friends on Facebook, on the Facebooks. Very interesting stuff.
But we are not only taking on the corporate establishment, we're taking on the political establishment. But we're going to win because the people understand it is our campaign, our movement, which is best positioned to defeat Trump.
Right.
You cannot beat Trump with the same old kind of politics. What we need is a new politics that brings working class people into our political movement, which brings young people into our political movement, and which in November will create the highest voter turnout in American political history. So we're going to beat Trump because this will become a contrast in ideas. One of us in this race led the opposition to the war in Iraq. You're looking at him.
Indirect Biden attack.
Another candidate voted for the war in Iraq. One of us has spent his entire life fighting against cuts in Social Security, wanting to expand Social Security. Another candidate has been on the floor of the Senate calling for cuts to Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and Veterans Programs. One of us led the opposition to disastrous trade agreements which cost us millions of good-paying jobs. And that's me. And another candidate voted for disastrous trade agreements. One of us stood up for consumers and said we will not support a disastrous bankruptcy bill. And another candidate represented the credit card companies and voted for that disastrous bill.
Levi almost started clapping for that one. That was not good.
We have two major goals in front of us, and they are directly related. First, we must beat a president who apparently has never read the Constitution of the United States. A president who thinks we should be an autocracy, not a democracy.
Boo.
But second of all, we need a movement and are developing a movement of black, white, Latino, Native American, Asian American, gay and straight. Of people who are making it clear every day they will not tolerate the grotesque level of income and wealth inequality we are experiencing. We will not give tax breaks to billionaires when 500,000 Americans sleep out on the streets. We will not allow 49% of all new income to go to the 1% when half of our people are living paycheck to paycheck. Now, I don't know what's going to happen later tonight. We're doing well in Texas right now.
That's true.
We won Colorado.
Right.
And I'm cautiously optimistic that later in the evening, we can win the largest state in this country, the state of California.
Gonna need to, that's for sure.
But no matter what happens, if this campaign, and I don't know what will happen, but if it comes out to be a campaign in which we have one candidate who is standing up for the working class and the middle class, we're going to win that election.
Increasingly, the narrative, of course, is it's me or it's Biden, is the language here.
Have another candidate who has received contributions from at least 60 billionaires. We're going to win that election. And if there is another candidate in the race who is spending hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, we're going to tell him, in America, you cannot buy elections. So I am excited about where we are. We have come a long, long way. And I want to, once again, thank the great state of Vermont and all of the people in the state. Not only for the victory you gave our movement tonight, but for the years and years of love and support you have given me and my family.
Ooh, a little water spill there. Spraying the crowd down.
So Vermont, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you all very much. Let's go on to the White House. Thank you.
So listen, I don't know if I'm projecting my feelings about things onto Bernie Sanders, but it's feeling as though this was Bernie saying the things we're used to hearing from him, but I'm reading some deflation into, and I see the word deflation actually now starting to show up in the chat quite a bit. I don't know if people agree with me, but I maybe it's me projecting my sense of what's going on onto Bernie, but sensing some deflation there. I am being told that some places have called Massachusetts for Biden. And again, I have mentioned that if it hasn't been called, it's going to be called soon, would be my guess. The lead now 6.8. Again, with almost every update in Massachusetts, the lead grows for Joe Biden over Bernie Sanders in Massachusetts. That's 91 delegates. It's not the biggest state of the night, but I think it is fourth. We have California and Texas, which are by far the biggest, of course. Sorry about that. California and Texas. Then we have North Carolina, Virginia, okay, and then Massachusetts. So I'm not sure. A couple people said Massachusetts had been called for Biden, but again, it's going to be a split. It's going to be a split, and Bloomberg not seeming viable so far in the state of Massachusetts. Let me say thank you, and a sincere and big thank you to Benjamin Wolf, who's new member number 63, and Lewis Nash, who's new member number 64. We are humbly trying to get to 100 new members at joinpacman.com. We are 64% of the way there. If you're just joining us, we are now waiting only on the closing of California at the top of the hour. It is 10:18 p.m. in the east and 7:18 p.m. in the west. And we will soon have some data from California. I don't know that we will actually know the winner of California until midnight or later, unless it is a blowout in one direction or the other. But we will soon have every state closed. And we are also starting to see data come in from Utah, which so far is very, very, very favorable to Bernie Sanders. Let's get an updated delegate count. The delegate count for now, at last check, Joe Biden was ahead by 113. Joe Biden is now ahead by only 109. So that has tightened up a little bit as the vote continues to be counted. Michael Bloomberg now 19 delegates over Warren with 17. And Tulsi Gabbard did get a delegate tonight in American Samoa. That is where we are right now. Very quickly, this is becoming a two-candidate race. I would expect Elizabeth Warren to be exiting relatively soon, particularly given that she's currently third in her home state of Massachusetts. That is certainly not good for her. Very much not good. Very bad, in fact, I would venture to say. Okay, let's check out some super chats. If you voted today, everybody can send super chats and they'll show up on the screen. But if you voted today, tell me via super chat where you voted and for who. Elizabeth Jerby says voted Bernie in Minnesota. Convinced some coworkers that were undecided as well. Calling Illinois family tomorrow for Bernie. Melvin Oliveria says, what is Warren's plan? She's messing everything up. I have no idea. I wish I knew her plan. I don't know. Jimmy Calhoun says it's not Grandmaster Flash, it's Sugar Hill Gang. Narth Own says, can I vote in California with a Washington driver's license? I have no idea. I don't know the law there. Beth Hengst has signed up on YouTube. Caden Kimball says, what's your go-to fast food chain? Haven't been to a fast food restaurant in probably 15, 17 years. When I did go to fast food places, my go-tos were the spicy chicken sandwich at Wendy's. These items might not even exist anymore. And the crispy strip meal at KFC, typically with mashed potatoes and coleslaw. That KFC coleslaw was like drugs. It was crazy. That stuff was good. But I've not been to a fast food chain in like 15 to 17 years. William Henning says, why am I seeing ads during the live stream? The stream is monetized, so I guess that's why. Zachary Monroe says, does Bernie have a real chance to win California? Yes, he does. He does. He has a chance, but he may not. We'll see. KWB says, you will assimilate. #Bloomberg. Narth Owens says, I have a Washington license. I have lived in California. Can I vote here? I have no idea. You've got to, I don't know what the law is there. Chris B says, voted Bernie in California. Rational Inquirer says, election is over. Obama secret negotiations. Regularly scheduled program will resume in November. Sean O'Connell says, voted Bernie in Asheville, North Carolina. Joanna Corvinus. Every time I see that, I almost think it's Joanna Coronavirus. Joanna Corvinus. Wendy's spicy chicken still exists. Baron Steuben. Hey, Baron, I recognize you. Voted for Bernie in Virginia, feeling defeated after doing a lot of outreach. Bob says, love you, David, even though our views differ. California Bernie. Hakan Zachrison. Greetings from Russia. We will fix this one too. Yeah, I'm sure you will. Let's listen to Joe Biden and Dr. Jill Biden here. Oh, Biden's fired up.
Just a few days ago, the press and the pundits had declared the campaign dead.
Someone's got to fix that
and
mic.
then came South Carolina, and they had something to say about it. And we're told, well, when it got to Super Tuesday, it'd be over. Well, it may be over for the other guy.
That's funny.
Tell that to the folks in Virginia.
Biden is on
North
fire.
Carolina, Alabama, Tennessee,
Oh, boy.
Oklahoma, Arkansas, Minnesota,
My goodness.
and maybe even Massachusetts. It's too close to call.
I think he gets Massachusetts.
We're still waiting for Texas and California, a few other small states to come in. But it's looking good. So I'm here to report We are very much alive. And make no mistake about it, this campaign will send Donald Trump packing. This campaign is taking off. Join us. For those folks listening, go to joebiden.com. Sign up, volunteer, contribute if you can. We need you, we want you, and there's a place for you in this campaign. People are talking about a revolution. We started a movement. We've increased turnout. And the turnout's turned out for us. That can deliver us to a moment where we can do extraordinary things. Look, our agenda is bold.
Who's ever seen Biden this fired up?
Where health care is affordable and available to everybody in America. Where we bring drug prices down under control with no more surprise billing. Access to hospitals in rural areas as well as urban areas. Access to care. A bold vision where we invest billions of dollars to find, and I promise you, cures for cancer, Alzheimer's, and diabetes. Standing up to and beating the NRA and the gun manufacturers. And leading the world to take on the existential threat of climate change. I'm going to start by rejoining an outfit I helped put together, the Paris Climate Accord, and we're going to move it a long way. A country where the quality of education will not depend on your zip code. Where we triple funding for low-income school districts, providing raises for teachers, full-time school for 3, 4, and 5 years old.
They got to back them off of that mic or something.
Exponentially the prospects of their success. Free community college, providing credentials for every job of the 21st century. And significant reduction in the cost of going to college and your student debt. If you volunteer, you pay nothing. Folks, we can do this. And let's get something straight. Wall Street didn't build this country. You built this country. The middle class built this country. And unions built the middle class. And the neighborhoods we come from, the three.
Oh my God, what just happened? Whoa. What does that woman say? Let something die? Oh my God, what is happening here? What are these signs? Let dairy. Oh, are these vegans?
Well, let's see.
Oh, they were hit by vegans.
We're going to go. Look.
Wow, everybody's clearly shaken up by that.
The middle class is getting clobbered. Too many people in the neighborhoods that Jill and Val and I grew up in.
My goodness.
So they're getting hurt. They're badly hurt. And guess what? They're the places where we come from, many of you come from. It's where we were raised. The people, they're the reason why I'm running. There's the reason why I'm a Democrat in the first place.
Wow, what a night.
These are people who build our bridges, repair our roads, keep our water safe, who teach our kids. Look, who race into burning buildings to protect other people, who grow our food, build our cars, pick up our garbage, our streets, veterans, dreamers, single moms. And by the way, every dreamer, have hope because I'm coming and you're not going anywhere. And we're going to provide a pathway for 11 million citizens. If the other guy had voted for the well, I shouldn't get into that. I won't get going. Look, the
Probably
iron
smart not
workers,
to.
the steel workers, the boilermakers, the plumbers, the electrical workers, these are the people that have been forgotten. I agree with you, man. Look, the people Trump forgot, the people I will never forget, and I will always remember. Folks, that's why we need an economy that rewards work, not just wealth. Reestablishes the
Whoa,
middle
sorry,
class.
I just
This
hit my
time
mic.
brings
I apologize.
everybody along. Everybody. Regardless of their race, their ethnicity, whether their gender, their disability, their economic state. Democrats, Republicans, Independents, every stripe. Look, like we did in South Carolina, like we did across America today.
The crowd's
like
playing
we'll
him
do
off.
all the way to the White House. Look, that's why I was so proud yesterday being embraced by Amy Klobuchar. We won Minnesota because of Amy Klobuchar.
That's true.
And we're doing well in Texas because of Beto O'Rourke. And that's why I was so proud, so incredibly proud to have Mayor Pete's endorsement as well. There's a man of character, intellect, and courage. And by the way, I was proud to be endorsed by Jim Clyburn. Man, he is something else. Look, our campaign reflects the diversity of this party and this nation. And that's how it should be, because we need to bring everybody along. Everybody. We want a nominee who will beat Donald Trump, but also keep Nancy
Utah
Pelosi
goes
the
Bernie.
Speaker of the House.
Bloomberg second.
Win back the United States Senate. If that's what you want, join us. And if you want a nominee who's a Democrat, a lifelong Democrat, a proud Democrat,
That's a Bernie attack.
an Obama-Biden Democrat,
Wow.
join us. Look, this all starts with the revival of decency and honor and character. Trump has fanned the flames of hate and sought to divide us. He's insulted, demonized, and actually just the way he talks about people. He has not a single sense of empathy. He doesn't have any compassion. No regard for the values that made this country who we are. Not the way you were raised by your moms and dads.
That's for sure.
He looks at honesty and decency and respect, and he views it as a sign of weakness. He doesn't believe that we're the beacon to the world. He doesn't believe we're all part of something bigger than ourselves. That's why I've said from the moment I announced for this candidacy, we're literally in a battle for the soul of America. Folks, winning means uniting America, not sowing seeds of division and anger and hate. We got to beat Donald Trump, and we will, but we can't become like him. We can't have a never-ending war between the parties. We need a president who can fight, but make no mistake about it, I can fight. But look, we need as badly, someone who can heal. Look, just look what we did when we passed Obamacare, or what President Obama and I did saving the American automobile industry, or what we did to pass the Violence Against Women Act. But it's not enough. This is just a start. We need a president who can heal the country as well. And that is what I will do as your president, I promise you. It's about delivering real results for you, your family, and the community. It's not about me, Jill, or Valerie. It's about you. It's about our families. To paraphrase the English poet Robert Browning, he said, "Our reach should exceed our grasp." And my reach does exceed our grasp, because there's no doubt in my mind we can grasp whatever we reach for. Ladies and gentlemen, I quoted an English poet, but let me quote a real poet now. An Irish poet. Seamus Heaney, who wrote a poem called The Curatorial. Here's what he says, and I believe this to the bottom of my being. He said, history says, don't hope on this side of the grave, but then, once in a lifetime, the longed-for tidal wave of justice rises up, and hope and history rhyme. We can make hope and history rhyme because of what we sing. There's nothing we can't do.
Wow.
This is about the future. It's not about the past. It's about our children and our grandchildren. It's about leading this country and leading the world once again. Folks, we just have to remember who we are. My Lord, this is the United States of America.
They're probably going to start winding them
It's time
down.
for America to get back up. And once again, fight for the proposition that we hold these truths to be self-evident. That all men and women are created equal, endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable rights. We say it so often in school, we don't realize how profound it is. We've never lived up to those words, but until this president, we've never walked away from it. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe with every fiber of my being, that's who we are.
Biden's on
So
fire.
let's get back up. We are a decent, brave, resilient people. We can believe again. But we are better than this moment. We are better than this president. So get back up and take back this country, the United States of America. There's not a single thing we can't do.
He mentioned that
God
already.
bless you, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Wow. Wow. I mean, listen, if you look at the Bernie demeanor and the Biden demeanor, it's clear who sees themselves as the winner and maybe not so much the winner tonight. Although, again, we are still waiting on the results in Texas and California closing in 25 minutes, and a lot still to be determined. But quite a day for Joe Biden. And from the point of view of just being a political observer, have we ever seen a 72 or 96 hour reversal like this? We've got a race call here. Let's see. Could be Massachusetts.
We're now ready to call the race in Utah. The
No,
Washington
okay.
Post is projecting that Sanders will win Utah, the Beehive State. Now, Utah has 29 delegates at stake tonight. We can also project that Joe Biden will win Minnesota, 75 delegates on the line there. Let's go to our colleague Jeremy Bowers with the Election Insights team for more.
All right. Yep. So as we expected and certainly already saw, there goes Minnesota going purple for Joe Biden with 38% of the vote. That is an overperformance for Joe, for sure. Bernie Sanders, I believe, was leading the Minnesota polling. Bernie was winning indeed. And then we are continuing to get data from Texas. And the lead has shrunk for Bernie, but it is still about 4 percentage points. It's clear this is it for Elizabeth Warren. Oh, sorry. And there we go. It's clear this is it for Elizabeth Warren. It doesn't look like she will win any state, including her home state of Massachusetts. I would expect Massachusetts to be called for Joe Biden soon. The lead now for Biden is 6.5 in Massachusetts. It has stayed steady from when we were at 8% of the vote all the way up to and including 50% of the vote. All right, let's do some housekeeping. I see people on both YouTube and Twitch complaining about moderators, either saying the moderators are doing too much or the moderators are doing not enough. The moderators are doing the best they can. They are a volunteer team of moderators. If you want to be a moderator, get in touch with me through my website contact form. I can't mod people during streams. There's about 100 things going on my 15 different screens here. So please get in touch by email. If you want to be a mod on YouTube, send me a link to your YouTube profile. If you want to be a moderator on Twitch, the same thing. If you want to be on both, again, the same thing. All of that stuff we will deal with during the aftermath, as we call it. On Twitch, I want to say thanks to people who have been signing up and sending messages. Decadentista says, so sad that we will lose again because of Hillary 2.0, i.e. Biden. Erithakis Akahij says, much love, David. Hope your country doesn't shit the bed again. Z-Claw says Biden will have to be like this 100% of the time to even have a shot against Trump. Yes. Thanks also to Vil Fayed and Freedom Man, as well as Chunky420 and PQ Coyote and everybody else over there. On my website, I want to say thank you to, some of these are coming in as duplicates. Rainer Werner Fassbinder. Thank you for signing up. Leda Batelio is new member number 66 tonight, if you can believe that. And Deborah Ada Cruz is new member number 67 tonight. I also want to say thank you to Diana Bridget, who's new member number 68. Angel Hernandez wanted to be number 69. This would be the time to sign up. This would be the time to sign up if you wanted that 69th membership, which I know is very important. If you are joining us just now, Joe Biden has won a bunch of states. Bernie Sanders has won a couple. We are now waiting for California to close at the top of the hour, just 22 minutes away. And it is anyone's guess whether we will know very quickly who the winner is there or whether it is going to take some time. But we are waiting on the results there. Let me now. And if you're just joining us on YouTube, please, this is my please clap moment. please hit like and subscribe. Please hit like and subscribe. We put a lot of time into these streams, and one of the best things you can do to help other people find them in YouTube's algorithm is like and subscribe. We're at 3,700 likes. I think we could easily get to 5,000 likes. And please, please, please do hit that subscribe button. That is very, very much important. Please clap. Let's now go to Super Chats. If you voted today, please let me know by Super Chat where you voted and who you voted for. So far, we only had one Michael Bloomberg voter who checked in with us. Let's see here. We missed a bunch of these, so I want to make sure we get back. Where was I? San Diego, California. Biden's fired up. I want to make sure I don't miss any. Okay, here we go. Abstract Painter says voted twice in Florida. Dote. Lynn says Massachusetts Bernie. Jeremy Jensen voted Roque De La Fuente, Guerra, Utah. Just kidding, Biden. Okay. Incredible TV says crispy strip meal, so beta. Joanna Coronavirus says, no, last name pronounced Corvinus. Oh, God's above my ears. Get him a new effing mic. Alex Sinsarak says Biden's fired up. Think Trump gave him Adderall? He seemed to be on something. EYTPS, when you have to make your mic ear rapey to sound excited, you've lost. Cinema Pigeon says voted Bernie in California. Tom Interval says I voted Bernie San Diego. LaShawn Payne, if I saw this Biden at the debates, I wouldn't hate him so much. Melvin Oliveria, someone gave Biden drugs. William Henning, Biden has a terrible microphone. Chuck N2X, I just don't understand why so many people are voting against their own best interest. It's truly heartbreaking. Ranch Elder, looks like lots of people went to Joe 30330. You can get a membership, by the way, at Join Pacman 41441 114 411 444, and that's the place to grab those memberships. Ryan Anderson, David, can you give us your best Howard Dean? Yeah. I don't know if I can do it. Let's see. I'm trying to think back to that fateful day back in whatever year that was. It was sort of like, we're going to go to Washington and Iowa and Florida, and then we're going to go to Washington, D.C. Rah! Something like that, right? Someone clip that for me. Adam does SE. Thoughts on Biden-Bernie ticket in either order? You know, it just feels unlikely. It feels very, very unlikely. Susan Hepler says voted early in Mesa, Arizona for Bernie. El Comico says think Biden will pick Corn Pop to be his VP. Yeah, maybe so. Lady Marms Forever has signed up. Fuad says he's not going to win the White House. Pia! Jacob Sabula, is Biden think he is like Romney chosen one prophecy? Biden DLC Dems need to go. Scott Rousick says, can you imagine upper Trump versus upper Biden or downer? Jeremy Comfort, hope Biden doesn't blow a blood vessel. Sim1 Manson sent a super chat. Newham Matt says, I hoped Biden would be runner up. Now I fear Biden will be runner up. Brutal. Melvin Oliveria, winning means U19 America. LMAO. Nestle says, now both Bernie and Biden had vegan stage invaders. Edwin Vega, I hear what he's saying, but I don't feel it. Accelerator, I voted Bernie in Minnesota. Biden is a Hillary-crat. Michael Orlando, Joe Biden is finding it hard to form sentences. Stun Ever says, I will never vote for this idiot, Bernie or none. That will help Trump. G916, David, get off your phone. You're boring me. Applejacks 4, Biden took his Geritol, voted Bernie in California. Eileen Burke, what do you mean by overperforming? Relative to the polls. So what we mean by overperforming, let's do a little, if you're just joining us. If we look, for example, at North Carolina, in the polling, Biden was plus 13 in North Carolina. If we look at the actual results, Biden is plus 18. So Biden overperformed the polls in North Carolina. That's what we mean. That's all we mean there. Let's look at updated Massachusetts numbers. In Massachusetts now with 55% reporting, Biden is still holding a lead of 6.6%. Any second, that's got to be called. I think it is soon getting away from Bernie Sanders. Elizabeth Warren embarrassingly coming in third in her home state. Not good. Maine still very much in play. Very much in play. And we are just 15 minutes from the close of California. Let's get updated delegate numbers. Joe Biden holding a roughly 100 delegate lead over Bernie, currently 104. Michael Bloomberg is only 6 delegates away from tying for third place, and he is already third from the candidates running. I told you guys, and people were furious with me when I said a month and a half, 2 months ago, Bloomberg will finish third or maybe fourth. People went absolutely bonkers. People mailed me animal excrement over that prediction, and it looks like it's going to happen. Bloomberg is already third of people still running, and he is all in fourth if you include Buttigieg there. So anyway, things are going crazy. I'm kidding about people mailing me excrement, though. And by the way, I send someone else to check our P.O. box. You think I'm going to be caught dead there myself? Who knows if somebody would mail me that stuff. Weed Thoughts has signed up with Twitch Prime. Jimmy Quall has signed up with Twitch Prime. Wheel Polly has gifted a subscription. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let me say thank you to Lucas Svek. Lucas Svek is new number 69. And is there anyone else to thank there? No. We are at 69 new members if you're just joining us. The target is 100. We can do this. We can do this. Unlike the results tonight, where you might vote and you don't see the results. With these memberships at joinpacman.com, you sign up, you will literally see this blue bar start to creep across the screen towards 100 new members. So I invite you to grab a membership at joinpacman.com. Very exciting stuff. Okay, Jacob Sabula sends a super chat. Bill Ebeling said, what did Bill Ebeling say? Go Angel. A user whose name is in characters I can't read sent 1,000 units of a currency I'm not familiar with without a message. I don't know what to tell you. Stun Ever says voted Bernie in California today. Biden sucks. Tomax says, me curious, could AOC run or win the presidency in 2024? I don't even think she'd be old enough then, right? Bob says nothing will fundamentally change. Quote, Joe Biden 2020. Yes. Dallas says Crosby, Texas voted for Bernie. Bob Simon, I'm not going to lie. Tonight I feel discouraged, sad. Brandy says if both California and Texas go Bernie, does he still have a chance? Yes, it's all about the margin. All about the margin. CBCOFJ says signed up for membership a while ago, but haven't heard my name. Courtney B voted Bernie. I did mention a Courtney. Let me see if I can find that again. Courtney Box. Oh, I did not mention Courtney Box. That gets us to 70. Very good. If other people have signed up for memberships that I've missed, please do let me know. Also want to say thanks to Ben Bateson. Ben Bateson is new member number 71. 71 tonight. Flying Robot voted early in California for Bernard. Comic Kate, absentee Utah voter for Bernie. Ricardo Franco, hey Dave, do you think Bernie's turnout numbers blow a hole in his electability argument? I don't think there's any electability. I don't think there's any strong electability argument right now. If the economy is perceived as good and Trump deals with or if coronavirus is dealt with and Trump benefits from that, and the DNC potentially does self-harm through this primary process, nobody's going to beat Trump. If the economy is perceived as poor, if coronavirus is out of control, if the DNC does not self-inflict damage during the primary process, then Bernie or Biden could win. I've been saying this for a while. That's the reality. Captain Rama says Joe got the super delegate endorsement 2-for-1 deal. Mayor P.P. Butt says, why would progressives vote for Trump over Biden? I have no idea. I don't know why anyone would do that. William Borger says, I don't see Biden getting less votes than Hillary Clinton, fewer votes, who won the popular vote. Do you see any Hillary voters that wouldn't be Biden voters? I see Hillary voters that wouldn't be Bernie voters. That's an interesting analysis I haven't done, and it's one that we should think about. But again, I don't think any of those arguments fundamentally tell us what's going to happen in this coming election. Let's take a look at updated numbers from Massachusetts. The Massachusetts number is now nearly 60% in, with a 6.8 lead for Biden, just slowly creeping up. You will also notice, folks, and this is not good news for Bernard. The Texas lead for Bernard has shrunk to 3.5. This is the smallest that Bernie's lead has been in Texas the entire time that votes have been counted. If Texas ends up 28 to 25, with Bloomberg also viable, the delegate difference between Biden and Bernie will be very small in terms of the raw numbers. This is math. This is numbers. Don't kill the messenger. I'm just telling you what is coming in. You have all the information I have. And let's in fact do a little bit of that math right now. Math, okay? That's what we're doing. Let me pull up a calculator here and put it up on the screen for you in a way that we will all be able to sort of partake. So here's what matters. Let's imagine only these three candidates are viable, right? So the viable vote would be 25-2, 28-7, and 17-9. That gives us 71.8. If 71.8 is the total viable math, that means that 25.2 divided by 71.8, that would mean Biden gets 35% of the 228 delegates. That's 80. And under this math, you would see, 28.7 divided by 71.8, that's 39% times 228. Bernie would get 91. So if the numbers remain as they are right now, I hope people followed the math with me. If the numbers stay as they are now, Bernie would have 11 more delegates roughly in Texas than Biden. He needs that in order to close the gap, the delegate gap, because as you see, Maine is roughly split. Whether it's Biden or Bernie won't really matter. They're roughly evenly split. So Bernie needs to close this gap, which now sits at 104 delegates. If Bernie only closes the gap by 11 out of Texas, that means he needs a big win in California to be even with Biden by the end of the night. That's the math of it, okay? That's the math of it. I'm just letting you know the math. Let's see here. Okay, a few other people to thank. Let me thank Aaron Robbins, who is new member number 72 tonight. And that's it. We are 28. Guys, I think we can do this. People laughed at me at the start of the night when I said we are going for 100 members tonight. We're only 28 away. We're only 28 members away. Hope Blackwell has grabbed a Twitch Prime subscription and says, voted today in Northern California and, of course, supported my man Bernie. Also, Vida Liddy has subscribed with Twitch Prime as well. Thank you very much. If you're just joining us on Twitch, make sure to follow my Twitch channel. If you're just joining us on Facebook, please like and subscribe. We are at 4,000 likes. I believe we could get to 5,000 likes tonight. That might sound crazy, but I think it's conceivable that we would be able to do it. So make sure to hit that like button and, of course, hit the subscribe button, as we are now just 8 minutes away. 8 minutes away from the close of California. California closing very, very soon. Let's look at some other super chats. Chillster says, think Biden would get Hillaried in the general? It's quite possible. Didelis says, say bia to our pups, Donna and Dexter. Hey, Donna and Dexter, you're both very, very good. Hope you're enjoying the show. Brian Holiday, your preparation for the variety of topics you cover is amazing. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate your support. Daddy Longlegs. Dave, thoughts on getting Nomiki Konst on the show? Maybe. Yeah, we don't typically interview just other like pundits. We usually interview scientists, academics, professors, doctors, etc. People. So I tend not to have just other show hosts on my show typically. And for no reason other than my audience doesn't like it. The interviews always do terribly, like really, really bad. I can just play voicemails and it'll do better than interviewing other sort of pundit commentator types. Okay, G Money Rider says Massachusetts went to Biden. I'm just tuning in. If it didn't yet, it will very soon. Yes, it looks like it was called. Yep. I mean, listen, guys, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I did call this 90 minutes ago. No surprise based on how the numbers were going. Adjusted delegate count. This may not yet reflect Massachusetts, but it is plus 105 for Joseph R. Biden Jr. over Bernard Sanders. And Michael Bloomberg, only 5 delegates away from formally moving into third place. Bloomberg already in third place on the basis of candidates that are still running. Massachusetts, if you're just joining us, called for Joseph R. Biden Jr. on the Politico website. Apparently not yet called by the New York Times, but certainly will be soon. And I want to get a look at those Texas numbers. Okay, so it's holding roughly steady, plus 3.4 for Bernie Sanders in Texas, and as we calculated, that will get Bernie about 11 more delegates out of Texas. Now, I also do want to point out, Tulsi with 1 delegate is now within striking distance of Joe Biden's 312 delegates. If Tulsi can get 90% of the delegates in California, she is immediately, and I mean immediately, folks, right back in this thing. So that's certainly something to keep an eye on. As we are 5 minutes from the close of California, it looks like they are maybe calling Massachusetts here, although it has already been called. And again, there is not any chance that Massachusetts goes any other way. Let me say thank you to a few other fine folks. Mark Nahas is new member number 73 tonight. Thanks, Mark. Kat Quinn is new member number 74 tonight. Charles Jacobs is new member number 75. Jennifer Rotuno is new member number 76. We are 24 away from 100 new members at joinpacman.com. Okay, Sim1 Manson says, are you of the belief Democrat or bust? If there was a Republican that was better than a Democrat, I would vote for the Republican. Based on the Republican nominee being Trump and based on the Democratic nominees that are currently running, any of the Democrats currently running, I would vote for over Donald Trump. Yes. EYTPS says we still got 2/3 of the states to go after this. Don't give up. Dallas S has become a YouTube member. T-Class Official says this is a terrible day. George Carlin was right. We don't have elections. We have owners. The establishment has truly doomed us all. Bob Simon, the only silver lining is I have David Pakman coffee. Very nice. Peter Curiel sends a coffee mug of some kind. John Tyson, California, you're the heroes America needs. We are 3 minutes away from California closing. City Guy USA, Bloomberg should have primaried Trump. Then we'd know if he could beat Trump. If he couldn't, there still would be another chance with a Democrat. The logic is not totally sound there, unfortunately. Chad Williamson has signed up on YouTube. Sinfamy, what will the Democrats blame this time when Biden loses? Biden, right? Michael Boyd says Elizabeth absolutely spoiled Bernie. Primary her. Elias Taylor says 1367 delegates on Super Tuesday, right? Why doesn't it add up? You know, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but it's somewhere in the 1,300 range. Weston Rasmussen voted for Bernie in Grand Junction, Colorado. Bill Ebeling says, wait, did Angel get his spot? No, we had membership 69 come and go without Angel Hernandez. Don't know where he went. Janny Gillette and Molly Moe have grabbed YouTube subscriptions. Ricardo Salas, What do you think about Bernie focusing more on social capitalism instead of social democracy? Do you think it would make a difference on how the progressive movement is perceived, helping Bernie win more votes? Well, remember, Bernie doesn't focus on social democracy. He says he's a democratic socialist. KWB, point taken, KWB, point taken. Let's see if you stick to your word. Quincy Vagel, okay. If Trump wins in November, what do you think happens to the Democratic Party going forward? Any hope of the two-party system crumbling? The two-party system is unlikely to crumble just from a Trump reelection. But what I have said is Trump winning reelection in November is, if he defeats a centrist, could be the best thing that ever happens to the progressive movement. Could be. Okay. Let's see where we are. Oklahoma, we already know about. We are awaiting results in California, moments away. Angel Hernandez says, crap, I was driving and I don't think renewing counts. Right. Well, you know what, Angel? You influenced some people, and that matters. Let me say thank you and welcome to new member number 77. That is Jacob Miro. And new member number 78 is Sebastian Levine or Levine, depending on your preferred pronunciation. I also want to say thank you to Drevi D, who is new member number 79. We are just moments, folks, from California. California is now on the board, and very, very soon, we may start to get results. California polls close at 11. Let's see if we get any data winning from California. Nothing yet, but very, very soon. I am keeping an extremely close eye on the Texas numbers, where Bernie Sanders had been up 5 or 6 most of the night, but now is only up 3.5 in Texas. That would be plus minus 10 delegates for Biden versus Bernie in Texas. That is a very important one to look at. Let's refresh and see. California is live, ladies and gentlemen. California is live. We do not yet have any numbers out of California, but we may before you know it. Updated delegate count. Joe Biden plus 104 over Bernie Sanders. Michael Bloomberg about to officially move into third place, as I predicted months ago he would be. Who cares? Okay, anyway, that's going to happen as well. But we are most closely watching Texas as well as California. California has been called for Bernie Sanders. California has been called for Bernie Sanders already, although we do not know the delegate counts. Let's see if we hear anything about that. Is anyone else calling California? Unless this is an error. Anybody know if this is an error? I am seeing California already called for Bernie Sanders. Let's see what anybody knows about that. And people saying, how can they call it with 0% reporting? If they're calling it with 0% reporting, it's because he won big. Not a glitch. Not a glitch. California has been called for Bernie Sanders. This is the last hope. Okay, let's run some numbers. All right, let's just start to run some numbers. If California ends up, this is going to be interesting. Let's look at California right now. Let me pull up my calculator. Okay, the first question is, if California is as polled, okay, let's just look at the averages. The 3 viable candidates are Sanders, Biden, Warren. They have a combined 74% of the vote. If Bernie gets 35% of that, he gets 47% of the 416 delegates. That gets Bernie 196. Let's call it 197. Okay, very good. Now, if, what was that number? 73. If Joe Biden gets 25% of the vote, he ends up with roughly 142. That's only a 33 delegate difference. The path is starting to close. The path is starting to close for Bernie Sanders, because unless Bernie Sanders dramatically overperforms the polling, it is not going to be a big enough gap to make up the difference. That's the unfortunate reality. Bernie must overperform the polls. Texas is shrinking. The lead is shrinking. It is now down to just 3.2. So Bernie has to drastically overperform California. My stuff might actually be, oh, there we go. We're back. I am going to get a final water refill, and then we are going to look more closely at these California numbers. Stay with me.
One of the things that's really apparent from taking a look at these vote flow diagrams is that there are a ton of people turning out tonight who did not vote in the 2016 version of the primaries, both in North Carolina, which you can see here, and in Virginia. And these are places where Joe Biden did very well. And it appears that one of the reasons why he did so well is that he's pulling in a lot of this new vote. These are voters who had not previously voted in 2016 and are voting in 2020. A bit of the conventional wisdom there was that if there was a high voter turnout, that those would be voters who would be voting for Bernie Sanders. So this has actually been a little bit of a change from what we expected, and it's been an unexpected area of Biden's strength. Back to you, Libby.
Thanks so much, Jeremy. I'd like to welcome my guests for this hour, national political reporter James Hohmann and Eugene Scott, reporter for The Fix. It's so fascinating to hear what Jeremy was telling us, Eugene, because it wasn't just the thought that Bernie Sanders might be able to expand his coalition and bring in those young voters. It was a goal of the campaign. I mean, it's something that they have believed they would be able to do, and that it could be key to building the Bernie Sanders of the future, the Bernie Sanders team of the future.
Absolutely. Number one, it's always fascinating to hear that there were people not involved in the 2016 election, because I feel like almost everyone we talked to had an opinion. But the reality is there were voters who were still, people who weren't yet voters, who were on the sidelines, who were looking in. And the Bernie Sanders campaign made it very clear that they were going to try to get those people to turn out. Those numbers haven't really worked in their favor as much as they thought they would have. And it's been fascinating to hear that they have worked in Biden's. That's not something that I was expecting. But I think what we do see with those new voters is that they overwhelmingly don't want Trumpism to move forward and want to get someone to the White House who they believe can defeat him. And when they're looking at the landscape, they think that the former vice president has a better chance of defeating the current president. So that's who they turned out for.
James.
You have to look at Virginia, which puts these ideas into stark relief. And it's not, Biden didn't have a ground game. Biden didn't have the money to run ads. This is dislike for Donald Trump. We've seen it since the 2017 state legislative elections in Virginia, where there was historic turnout in the governor's race, in the 2018 midterms when Democrats picked up 3 congressional seats in Virginia. And then tonight, massive increases in sort of the suburban counties where the backlash to Trump has been strongest, kind of suburban, college-educated women showing up who weren't particularly active or motivated in 2016, but really want to defeat Trump. And for them, our exit polls show electability was the top concern. They want to beat Trump. And so if they care more about electability than someone who agrees with them on all the issues, they were vastly more likely to support Biden, not because they necessarily love Joe Biden, but because they hate Donald Trump. So it does undercut the whole theory of the case of the Sanders campaign, which was that they were going to expand the electorate. As Biden put it in a classic kind of Biden malapropism, turned out, and it turned out for me, I think was the quote. And that's classic Joe Biden, but it's actually true. That's actually the story of the night. And that he was able to kind of ride this wave, not because of his own campaign or, a $500 million ground game, but because of a really organic backlash to the president, which is manifesting itself.
What could this
$1 million over he's representative, but the husband of the counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, he tweeted a screen grab of himself maxing out to Biden. I've actually heard from various Democrats who one prominent Democrat texted me and said Biden is Lazarus coming back from the dead, and said he was giving money. And so I think you're going to all of a sudden
as we continue to see the results from California come in, it has been called for Bernie Sanders, although we do not know the percentages at this point in time. Let me answer some other super chats here. Let's see here. Where did I leave off? Ben Mankiewicz, are people... Okay. Matthew S. says California allows absentee voting at 3 days after voting day if mailed on election day, same-day registration in person, and many counties with fewer polling centers. Chris M., are people's fears of change due to thinking Bernie can't get things passed through Congress, or have they been brainwashed by the establishment narratives? Well, there are reasonable critiques of the pragmatic realities of Bernie's policies. That doesn't necessarily mean you don't still vote for the ideal and negotiate from there. I take issue, I think, with the framing. Jeremy Landry says Ben Mankiewicz thinks Bernie is scary. What are your thoughts? I'd have to see what Ben says. KWB says I owe you $98. Okay. Phylogeny says, I live in a San Diego community of over 60,000 people and 2 voting locations. When I voted, there was only one other person voting. It was depressing. That is depressing. Daniel Brantley voted for Bernie from Littleton, Colorado. Dalbert Leal, David, I'm anxiously awaiting Texas results after voting Bernie. Brendan Klaus, do you think Ruth Bader Ginsburg can hold out till 2025? I don't know the answer to that. And that's why Donald Trump has to be defeated. Over on Twitch, let me say thank you to Meshetef, G Money Rider, Jay Snodgrass, and True Dark Majin. I also want to thank new members. Xavier Da Costa Silva is new member number 80 of the night. Whoops, not 8, 80. There we go. Joe Mama is new member number 81. Very clever. Dixon Rivera is new member number 82. And I believe that's it. Yeah, okay. Very good. I'm caught up. We are only 18 members away from hitting our goal. Updated delegate counts. Joe Biden is now plus 109 over Bernie Sanders, and Michael Bloomberg is 1 delegate away from tying Pete Buttigieg. We have announced that indeed California has been called for Bernie Sanders, as is on the screen. We do not yet have any voting data, but it must be such a big victory for Bernie that they are comfortable calling it. Let's see if Trump's been tweeting about all this. I'm kind of curious. Tweeting about Minnie. Let's see here. Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren, other than Minnie Mike, was the loser of the night. She didn't even come close to winning her home state of Massachusetts. Well, now she can sit back with her husband and have a nice cold beer. The biggest loser tonight by far is Minnie Mike Bloomberg. His political consultants took him for a ride. $700 million washed down the drain, and he got nothing for it but the nickname Minnie Mike and the complete destruction of his reputation. Way to go, Mike. What else has he been tweeting? Trump wins Arkansas Republican primary. Can you imagine? The wins continue. It's like he's not running against anyone. It's such idiocy. Trump donates his salary. Okay, so not too much other stuff actually related to what's going on. Here is Trump talking to doctors. Okay, we don't need that. All right, so at any point now, we are expecting to get some numbers starting to come in out of California. As I mentioned, Bernie needs to win California by a lot to make up that margin. He has to win by a lot because in Texas, it's a small margin. Brendan Fody says, Rosie, put your phone down. I don't know what that means. First Class Admiral Giga Chad says, listen up, Jack, and it's Biden time, ride or die. Greek Lamb says, if Bernie doesn't get the nomination, could he run independent and still win? He could not. He would make sure Trump won, though, if he did that. Thomas Nelson, what do you think about Sam Cedars' program Redshift? And do you think that affects Democratic centrist candidates regarding electoral manipulations? I didn't see it. I apologize. Jason Harvey says, who carries the progressive torch in 2024? Joe Biden can't beat Trump. Good question. Adrian Benningfield, is there a possibility of vote rigging for Biden? I mean, I have no particular reason to think so. Paul Molesky, I know for a fact in Oklahoma, Republicans switched registration to vote Biden to ensure Bernie lost. They want Biden versus Trump. I hope we get some reporting on that. Elias Taylor, number of delegates pledged is less than the number of delegates available. Why? I'm not seeing that. Let's see. Declared, needed, pledged. Yeah, I'm not sure. You're going to have to tell me exactly where to find the data that you're looking at. Alex Drake has grabbed a YouTube membership. Flaccid Donkey says David is a big math sellout. Thorber Falbeck says voted for Bernie in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Very interesting. If you're joining us on Twitch, welcome. If you're watching on YouTube, welcome and thank you. If you continue to watch on Facebook, it looks like the Facebook feed died for some reason. So I will actually formally pinch off that stream and we will be done with the Facebook stream for the night. It seems to be completely and utterly dead. DED, dead. Bloomberg ahead of Bernie in California. That doesn't sound right at all. And again, it was called for Bernie, so it seems it is probably some early artifacts. Can anyone tell me if anybody has any California vote counts reported so far? Because we are still getting all zeros everywhere. Anybody have an idea? Where can we get some actual California vote counts? Google. All right, let's see. California Democratic primary results. Okay, very interesting. With 1% reporting, Bloomberg is technically winning by about 40 votes. That's true. All right, well, we'll see how that continues to develop. Let's see here. For Bernie. Also, Rand says, you read the president of the U.S. calling Warren Pocahontas without any surprises if it's normal. That's the world we live in. Sadly, it is. It's extremely unfortunate, but sadly it is. Decon 9995. By how much would Bernie have to win Cali in terms of percentage to close the gap? I don't even know, but some very quick math tells me that if Bernie doesn't get 65% in California, I don't think he closes the gap. Can you guys fact check me on that? It's very rough math. Bernie needs to beat Biden in Cali by more than 25 percentage points. Yeah, right. Exactly. 65. Because if Biden, other people will have, if Buttigieg and Biden have roughly this amount, it's got to be big. It's got to be very, very big. Patrick Kelly asks, why is there no room for the Second Amendment in the Democratic Party policy? Well, there is, in that the Second Amendment exists and they're not trying to repeal it. Joanna Corvinus says Bernie or bust people keep forgetting about judges. Keanu Fabiana says, when asked about paying for all policies, why does Bernie pivot to paying for Medicare for all instead? Since he released a plan for it, what's the California victory math? The California victory math has to be big. And right now, Bernie is +7 with 1% reporting. See if anybody else has any data. Politico, nothing. New York Times, nothing. Only Google has data so far. EYTPS, if you voted Biden, you are an awful human being. I've met Biden voters who are not awful human beings. They just have different priorities, and priorities that are more difficult to describe as actually progressive. That's Ryan Henry Dean. New York Times has Biden-Bernie coin flip in Texas. That would be a dagger. Let's see the Texas numbers. 34% reporting, +3.6. In Texas here with 29% reporting, +3. It's going to be close. It's going to be very, very close for sure. JC Video, would you rather see Trump's tax records or medical records? There may not be honest medical records to see, so maybe taxes in a sense. Andrew Bourne says, the David Pakman Show, one of the only sources I put my trust in to give a genuinely honest take. I appreciate you, man. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I also appreciate all of the great people who have been grabbing memberships on my website tonight. Alex Parnell is the 83rd person to do so. Suzanne Slade is number 84. And we are very quickly only 16 new members away from 100. 100. We are now finally getting some numbers in from California. California has already been called for Bernie Sanders. The only question is, How much is the margin of victory? And is it enough to do away with this margin? As you can see, the delegate count right now is plus 109 for Joe. Let me refresh. Still 109 for Joe. And the question is it even conceivable that Bernie wins California by enough to close that gap? And we don't know the answer quite yet. Andrew Ruse says, at least America agrees Corn Pop was a bad dude. Max says, apparently Bloomberg to reassess campaign tomorrow. Not shocking. Ben Bateson, much appreciation from Australia. A Bernie win is the only way real change can happen, even for us over the pond. Thanks again, Dave. Brian Bueno has grabbed a YouTube membership. Ryan Henry Dean, New York Times live model prediction. Live model prediction. Is that live forecast? Let's see if we can find that. Texas is maybe Sanders. Okay. Yep, fair enough. That seems about right. They've got the cumulative delegates at... How are these numbers right? 631. 631, but here it's 327. Is this making some assessments? Best guess through delegate... Well, I don't know how they have these numbers. These have not actually been awarded yet. But if this is the outcome, Biden would end up plus 25, 56, plus 56. Google now 6% reporting with Bernie solidly in the lead. Bernie plus 12 over Joe Biden in California. Okay, that's something. That's something. That'll keep the numbers close for sure. Ortep Leinid says Business Insider website currently shows Bernie at 28, Bloomberg 19, Biden 16 in California, roughly what we have here. Izek Hempseed says Bernie loss plus coronavirus hypes equal camelback broke. Keanu Fabiana says, you forgot to answer my policy question. Please do. What was the question? Why does Bernie pivot to paying for Medicare for all since he released a plan for it? What's the California? Well, because some of the math for the other programs is fuzzy. That's the reality. That's why he does it. Dennis Klomp says, David, your opinion on this today has a lot of southern states. If Sanders, a social democrat, stays within 100 to Biden, he has a shot. I was actually thinking the opposite. I was actually thinking because of the states that are remaining other than New York, if Bernie isn't winning by more than 50, I think he's in trouble. But it really could go either way. It is very, very early still at this point in time. And we have to wait and see. Let me say thank you to Felix Sky, who is new member 85 tonight. Thanks, Felix. I appreciate that. If you're just joining us, we've been streaming here for nearly 4 hours. We have a majority of the results in at this point in time. Joe Biden has won Alabama, Virginia, Tennessee, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Minnesota, and Massachusetts. Bernie has won Vermont, Colorado, Utah, and California has been called for him, although we have no idea what the margin will be. In play are Maine, where they will roughly split the 24 delegates, with Elizabeth Warren maybe grabbing a couple. Texas, where Bernie Sanders currently leads by 3, which our rough math suggests would get him about a 10 or 11 delegate closing of the gap. Bernie would close in by about 11 delegates based on that math. And then we are watching the California numbers come in. If you're just joining us on YouTube, make sure to like the stream and hit the subscribe button. If you voted today, send me a super chat telling me where you voted and who you voted for. Rigoberto Munoz says, did the DNC tell Warren to stay in the race to sabotage Bernie? I have no idea. There's a lot of assessments being made without evidence, and I want to avoid making them. Mr. Gonzalez says, I only trust David Pakman to report voting results. Sets aside bias. Keep up the great work. Thank you. James McCabe, Bernie or bust people equals a Trump supporter. Jennifer Senef says California plus Bernie over Bloomberg, not Biden. Leonard Sorensen, If Biden seems possible at the moment, does not get the necessary 15% in California, that would be huge for Bernie, right? It would, although right now he's at 17.4. Because I'm Batstain has subscribed. Jason Harvey says, let's hope Biden drops below 15% in Cali. That could happen. It would be a massive underperformance. Biden was polling 23 going in, and he's not underperformed anywhere by that amount. If I had to bet, I think Biden is viable in California, if I had to bet. Magma 2400, I'm a registered Republican, but these sycophants that refuse to listen to reason and common sense are too much. Is it better for me to switch parties or stay so I can be a voice of reason? Well, listen, what you've got to do is vote for someone other than Trump in November. You can be in either party to do that and then figure out the rest later. JC Video says, how bad must Michael Bloomberg do before he exits? About as badly as he's doing. I mean, again, we just had an announcement that he's going to reevaluate the campaign tomorrow. He may be out by tomorrow. Roswell Salt Satterwhite says, the people have clearly spoken, and it's Joe Biden. The voters still believe in centrism and return to normalcy as the antidote to Trump. The numbers in California may modify that assertion, but we will see. Mummin Predator says, voted for Vladimir Putin in Paris, France. Okay. Walt Spence has grabbed a YouTube membership as well. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let me say thank you on my website to Nicholas Bassetti, who is new member number 86. We are getting down to the wire for getting to our goal of 100 new members. So if you're just joining us or if you've been here for a while, consider going to joinpacman.com, grabbing a membership. The coupon code 2020 now will save you 66%. And we plan to continue streaming election results, including a week from tonight, March 10th, numerous more primaries, as well as others coming up later in the month. Taylor Neal Saidi says, is there a likely path forward for Bernie after Super Tuesday given these results? Mainstream media will be backing Biden big time now. Huge boost for him. I'm not going to lie to you. It's an uphill battle for Bernie after tonight if he can't get very, very close. And even if he can, it may be a problem. My assessment going in was Bernie needs to be 40 or 50 ahead because of the states that are left to vote. If Bernie is behind, it is an uphill battle. It's nothing's impossible. It is not impossible, but it would require a momentum shift for sure. 109 remaining as the gap right now between Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders, as Michael Bloomberg has now formally tied Pete Buttigieg in third place for delegates. And I believe ultimately he will be solely in third place. You all know I've been saying that for months at this point. Flying Robot says Monterey beat Bernie Sanders 28, Biden 22, Bloomberg 17, Warren 11. The numbers from Monterey, California. Okay. Very, very interesting numbers coming out of there. Let's see what else is happening here. California discussion.
By today, election day, your vote is going to be counted, and in a couple places, that's going to be the real difference between whether or not we have, a Joe Biden picking up a handful of delegates, whether or not we have, someone like Mike Bloomberg picking up a handful of delegates. But that's essentially the things we're going to be watching the state of California for. Until then, I'm going to kick it back to you, Libby.
Great. Thank you so much, Jeremy. Okay, Eugene, looking at California and the demographic breakdown of California, it's going to be such an important state to watch, not just in terms of the delegate count and who gets the check mark, the win, but also to see how turnout is. I mean, and to really track why people are voting the way that they are. What will you be watching for?
Well, looking at turnout, see how significant it is, if at all, and where it goes, right? And so I think the assumption...
Yes, very, very important to look at turnout as a proxy indicator for maybe what is to come. Joe Biden with a little bit more of the vote counted, still at 17%. And, I think Biden probably is viable there. Manny says there's also Florida to worry about. Yeah, in Florida, I think the last I looked was not looking good for Bernie Sanders. Let's take a look at it right now. The latest polling has Biden up 22 in Florida. I mean, listen, you never want to, you never want to, what am I trying to say? You've got to go out and do it, right? We all know you've got to go out and do it. But if Bernie's not winning after tonight and Florida is even remotely like this, it's very bad. It's very bad for Bernie Sanders. There's no doubt about it. Let me look at the New York polls as well. That's another 224. Bernie, according to the latest poll, which was 2 weeks ago, was up in New York. But again, this was with Buttigieg and Klobuchar having 18. If Biden gets just 9 of that, he almost ties. If Biden gets only half of Buttigieg and half of Klobuchar, he gets up to where Bloomberg is. Bernie would get some of that as well. It's an uphill battle, guys. I mean, this is the reality. Nothing's done, but it is certainly an uphill battle, absolutely for sure. Let me welcome some new people. Particularly, I'm talking about Ricardo Gonzalez, who is new member number 87 tonight. Ricardo, thank you. I appreciate your subscription so much. We are close to 100 new members tonight. Over on YouTube, super chats are coming in. Felix Sky says, Bernie supporter here, but still love Uncle Joe. Seeing lots of petulance and rudeness from Biden supporters towards Bernie supporters. What the hell is the point since we are all on the same side? Idiotic. Vlad Vexler says, David, do you think Bernie's campaign articulated strongly enough their electability argument? Why Bernie can't beat Trump? Why Bernie can beat Trump, sorry. Listen, both sides, everybody always argues on electability without explaining why. That's the reality. You never really get good explanations because there aren't any. As I said before, I believe many Democrats could beat Trump if the circumstances are correct. I believe every Democrat would struggle against Trump if the economy is perceived as good, if coronavirus is dealt with relatively quickly, which I hope it is, no matter what the political implications are, because it's absolutely horrible. That is going to be a big factor in who can win. And I find the black-white arguments of only this candidate can win, only that candidate can win, relatively fraught. And I would be concerned about hanging my hat on any of those. Insidious Vid says, David, are you Bernie and bust? Terrible take, in my opinion. No. I'm not Bernie or bust at all. All of the Democratic candidates running right now, I would vote for over Donald Trump. I don't do stuff like Democrat or bust, because you could have a race where the Republican's better than the Democrat. If you ask me, am I voting for Bernie over Trump? Yes. Am I voting for Bloomberg over Trump? Yes. Am I voting for Biden? Yes. Warren? Yes. I would vote for any of the people that are left here over Donald Trump for sure, given what's at stake with judges and everything else that we've seen. Max asks, path forward for progressives in the next decade. Let's finish this primary first before we get into sort of disaster planning of that kind. Maury P says, if Biden wins, I'm not voting. Watch it burn. I simply disagree with you, Maury. I disagree with you. If we see Ruth Bader Ginsburg replaced with another conservative justice, that will wreak havoc for a very, very long time. I don't want to see that. I won't participate in that. Zachary Monroe says Politico has updated polls. Yes, they do. Bernie has won. Biden's still at 17%. And Texas is now razor thin. So if Texas is close to a tie, it's very, very bad for Bernie. Bernie needs a margin of victory in Texas. The margin has now increased to 112 delegates. And Bernie very, very much needs to win Texas by something. If it's anywhere close to tied, California is just not going to be enough unless Biden ends up being completely not viable. It's not going to be enough. And Biden's going to come away tonight with a not insignificant lead. Flaccid Donkey asks, would you go Gary Johnson over Bloomberg? Don't know. I'd have to think about it. I don't know Gary Johnson's policies offhand. Blake Barber, how do you explain expanding support for senility? That is a question that is a bigger issue in general about the age of a lot of these candidates. There's no question that that's an important issue, big picture. Okay, it appears as though that Biden is going to end up being viable. Again, if I had to bet on it, I don't hang my hat on Biden will end up under 15%. I don't see that happening. Godwings 101 says, if Biden wins the primary, then it will be 4 more years of Trump and we will have earned it. He isn't a return to normalcy. He's running to put the mask back on the political machine. Echo Factor, love from Canada for Bernie. Can't believe Republican messaging around Medicare for all. Our system isn't perfect, but we don't go broke if we get sick. Fear-mongering BS. Okay. Very, very important comment. So it could be hours until we get results from California. We unfortunately have a sense of the big picture tonight. And so we are going to end our coverage on that note. I will have the final numbers to the extent that we will know them tomorrow. Thank you to everyone who joined me. I really appreciate it. We will stream more results as they come in. Good night from